Hi, I'm Wolfgang. My friends call me Stephen Wolf because I collect specialty teapots.
Play the latest scratch-off from the Ohio Lottery, simply called Millions, for a chance to taste the good life and win up to $1 million.
My prize teapots include one that was made from the very first 3D computer model. And the teapot that inspired the lyrics, I'm a little teapot.
Play the new $30 scratch-off Millions. With 1 in 3 odds, a $40 minimum prize, and an 81% payout, you can go hog wild on whatever's your cup of tea. Lottery players are subject to Ohio laws and commission regulations. Please play responsibly.
This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
You are listening to the Voices of Wrestling podcast with your hosts, Joe Lanza.
X out and go listen to some boring podcast where they're afraid of their own shadow. Okay? Don't listen to Joe Lanza, because Joe Lanza's not changing.
And Rich Craich.
Give me a name. Who delivers this guy in a big spot?
Joe, don't yell at me. I like
in the big spot, who delivers better than this guy?
Stop yelling at me. I agree.
And we are live here on the Voice of Wrestling Flagship podcast, presented by MyBookie. I'm Rich Craich, alongside, as always, the King of Banter, Mr. Joe Lanza. Joe, what's happening?
You asked me what I wanted to lead off with this week, because we don't really have a clear lead topic. There's a lot going on, but not a lot of huge things going on. I noticed you have the fight pit on the run sheet. People requested, they demanded, in fact, that we review the fight pit. But I didn't want to lead off with the fight pit because I have not seen the fight pit.
Oh.
But hold on. I am currently watching NXT, and I will see the fight pit at some point during this show. And then at that point, we can give the people what they demand, which is a fight pit review.
So we're going to get a half-distracted Joe Lanza until he completes the fight pit, and then we'll get a fight pit review.
No, that's not what I said. I said...
You're going to be watching it while you're also talking about other stuff.
Well, I just watched Kushida with a great pinning combination on Johnny Gargano here.
Yes, live tweet yesterday's NXT. That'd be perfect. Let's do that, yeah.
As Kushida and Leon Ruff pick up a big win. In a battle of... this is 4 former Evolve stars, Rich. We got Gargano and Theory. Austin Theory. Why was I calling him Ace? Leon Ruff and Kushida.
Yeah.
Four trademark Evolve stars.
I don't know if I call Kushida a trademark Evolve star, but that's a little much. But the other three, yes, I will definitely. The other three are iconic Evolve alums there, so.
They're going to face the Grizzled Young Veterans. Now, that's a good matchup there. Grizzled Young Veterans against Kushida and Leon Ruff.
The NXT roster, we're going to talk about a little bit when we talk, because I watched all of this week's NXT in anticipation of the fight pit. It's a very weird show. It's a show that I don't really want to watch every single week, and I know why you stopped watching it every single week. It's a very weird roster that I can't tell if I like it or I think it's bad. That's kind of the NXT thing, is like there's times where I'm like, this is great, like this is really cool, and I like a lot of the stuff that's going on, and then other times I'm just like, this is so weird and it doesn't make any sense. It's NXT is in a very, very weird place now with a lot of ups and downs.
The roster rules. The roster isn't the issue. It's the presentation of the show. Way too much main roster fuckery bleeding into it. Very dry atmosphere, even in the whatever they're calling their Thunderdome
version. Capital Wrestling Center or whatever. Yeah, they of all the, I can't believe I'm saying this, that now, we're essentially a year into, the COVID thing, obviously not a year into, COVID wrestling or whatever. That's coming up pretty soon here. But of all the companies, I can't believe that WWE is like the worst at producing COVID wrestling. I with all the resources they have, you think they'd be the best, but man, NXT just shows it so much because it's so, there's just so many noises. It's so loud in there. Like you're not listening, but there is going to come in a little bit where Drake Maverick and Killian Dane are going to do a promo backstage. And as they start their promo, you thought Stone Cold Steve Austin came out in 1998 Raw, with a chair or the fucking Zamboni. Cause it's just like, with me at this time is it's just like, what? Like, no crowd would be cheering that much for Killian Dane and Drake Maverick. Like, reel it in, guys. Like, turn it down a bit. Like, Jesus Christ. I swear to God, The Rock has just come out
Yeah.
to confront Stone Cold Steve Austin, and you're wondering what it is, and it's Drake Maverick cutting a promo backstage with Killian Dane. I'm like, come on, guys.
Yeah, it really exposes what they're, that it's bullshit. Yeah, and it makes it worse. I like the MLW, what they've been doing. It's just kind of like this low, quiet murmur.
Yeah, and that's all you need. You need something. There's something between Impact, what they were, and I think we'll talk about Hard to Kill a little bit. I think Impact did an okay job with it on their pay-per-view, but Impact prior was just doing dead silence, and that's not good. Like, dead silence is very, very weird and pretty strange. Japan's been able to kind of make it work, when they were doing silent stuff, but MLWs, I've only caught a little bit of MLW lately, but what I liked is, there's enough there in the background to distract you from the fact that there's nobody there, but it's not enough that it's like laughably ridiculous that the crowd is making all this noise or whatever, when they're clearly no crowd and clearly not making all this noise, so.
I hate the clap crowds because it's like almost real, and it bothers me more than just not having anything at all. I really hate the clap crowds. I went back and watched a couple of matches from last year's Wrestle Kingdom.
Oh, you shouldn't do that. Don't do that. It makes you hate modern wrestling so much.
That was such a mistake. I mean, it made this year's Wrestle Kingdom feel like a flea market show.
Yeah, right.
In comparison, it's just like with the dumb clap crowds and nobody there, and like they were wrestling in like it made it like watching Wrestle Kingdom in real time. It was like, because you're so used to the clap crowds. I mean, you were like, oh, I thought the atmosphere was great, remember? And I was like, eh. Then I watched last year's Wrestle Kingdom, and I'm like, oh my god, this year's Wrestle Kingdom fucking sucked.
Right.
I can't believe how awful that was, and I can't believe I watched 2 nights of that. Thank God the matches were really great, but I don't know, the NXT roster. I mean, I'm looking at the brackets for this Dusty Classic. There's a lot of fun teams here. It's just, I don't know, there's something about NXT, the way it's been presented and the way it's been booked, and it's just, it's a hard watch some weeks. Most weeks, it's a really hard watch. The match I just saw was really good. That Gargano in Theory versus Kushida and Ruff.
Yeah. Everything on the show, like wrestling wise, is pretty good. I don't know about the Russ Taylor versus Bronson Reed is okay, but yeah, there's the in between stuff is just really bad. And like the promos and there's gonna like you'll see like this backstage confrontation between Finn Balor and Kyle O'Reilly, and Finn's doing the I talk slow thing. And then Kyle O'Reilly talks slow too, and then they just stare at each other for like the most uncomfortable 35 seconds of my life, where I'm like, what is going on? Like, why are they still staring? He's like, I'll see you next week. And then Kyle O'Reilly's like, doesn't say anything, and I'm like, did my screen freeze? Did my computer freeze? And then Kyle O'Reilly just goes, yeah, I guess I'll see you next week. And I'm like, what?
That's the
and it took up like 3 minutes of my life, and they didn't say anything.
That's the HBK factor. Build the drama.
Oh my god! You should pause and go rewatch that portion with the audio, because it is. And the best part is I'm just like looking at Adam Cole and Roderick Strong in the background, just waiting for them to kind of break or be like, oh my god, somebody say something, like this is taking entirely too long. And then eventually, after 15 gruesome seconds, somebody finally says something. So
it's did you watch the Finn Balor versus Kyle O'Reilly match from New Year's Evil?
I did not. Yeah, I heard it was pretty solid though. I heard it not as good as their one, whatever, October or whatever they had their other match, but I heard it was solid enough.
No, was it as good as the shoot fight where they broke each other's faces?
right. But no, it was not. Yeah.
But it was really good nonetheless. And Kyle O'Reilly Balor got busted open again. O'Reilly busted him open again in the second match. Balor's had 2 matches in like 4 months, and both of them Kyle O'Reilly broke open his face. So those are a good series of matches. I know a lot of people aren't paying attention to NXT for reasons that we've already laid out, but that their series of matches have been good. So they're doing another one, because again, I haven't watched this show yet.
No, they're teaming together now.
Oh, they're teaming.
Yes, it was something like Finn was, because very, very original in World Wrestling Entertainment is, so there's a guy. And he's going to team with a guy that they don't really see eye to eye, Joe, but they're going to team nonetheless. And there might be tension though, because they're teaming, but they don't quite get along. It's a very original. I love it. I can't wait to see what directions this goes.
I've never seen such a story.
It's so strange. So this one guy, let's say Finn Balor in this example, I forget his line. It was something about, the enemies, or that, like, it's some dumb, some ridiculous line that no human being would ever say or whatever. So he decides, I'm going to go to Kyle O'Reilly because he knows me better than anybody, so we'll be the best team ever, type thing. And yeah.
Wow, they must have some fresh voices in the writer's room, because I don't think WWE has ever done it.
No, and the best part, I don't want to spoil it for you, but another team will be formed under the exact same premise on the exact same episode of NXT television this week. So I'll leave that open for you. I'll leave that open for interpretation. But yes, originality just pouring out of the pores of NXT, out of the Performance Center there.
Such a good original idea. They're doing it twice.
Twice in one show. Yep. For the
Yeah,
same tournament.
incredible.
Yeah, for the same tournament too. So
I mean, you look at this tag tournament, Undisputed Era beat Breeze Dango. That was last week. That wasn't any good. How about this? Wiping the mothballs off Tony Nese and Arya Davari from 205 Live here, as they take on Ashante the Adonis, 2 E's on that, like Megan the Stallion.
yes,
Get
of
it,
course.
Rich?
Yeah, of course. Oh yeah. I'm
And,
up on the culture, so I get it.
TLB, big fan of Megan.
Oh, is
the
she? Is she?
Stallion.
Interesting.
Yes.
I'm not sure if the nurse would have any idea who that is if I asked her. So
No, you don't think so?
no clue. Yeah. She is not in tune with modern music.
Not
at all,
even
so.
aware, though. Like, not necessarily.
I really don't think so. I really don't.
She's not into the women who are very sexually flirtatious style of rap.
Yeah, I don't know. She's just not into like any modern music, to be honest. So she like just listened to the new Taylor Swift album like last week and was talking to people about it. So
she's not a fan of the WAP. Rich.
Yeah, honestly, I'm not even sure if she knows what that is. She might know it from like memes, but I don't know if she's ever actually
come
heard
on.
the
She's
song.
got to know what WAP is, for God's sake. She can't be that. I mean, that's got cultural relevance, though. You know
That's
what I mean?
I think like culture, she would know it from like memes and stuff, but I don't know if she's ever like listened to the entire song.
Would she know what WAP like stood for?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Wow, I'm surprised by this. Just because you figure she might work with other.
Yeah. Well, they're too busy
younger
taking care of
people.
COVID. I don't think they're not having as much fun as they used to at work. So maybe a few years ago she would have been up on the.
Yeah, but COVID's like, it's been a year. It's just what they do now.
Yeah. It's still right.
Anyway, Ashanti the Adonis
The
teaming
Adonis,
with
okay.
Desmond Troy. Now that's the former DeJournay or whatever his name was, the amateur wrestler, who had no chance because you can't have that gimmick in this company. I mean, unless you're a generational talent like Kurt Angle, as soon as Vince sees that, something's got to change. Kushida and Ruff just won. And then grizzled, they'll face grizzled young vet. I love the grizzled young veterans. I like a Zach Gibson promo. I enjoy that. So they beat Everrise. And then MSK. Did you see the MSK debut?
I did. Yeah, it was pretty good. It wasn't bad.
That's the best they've ever looked.
Yeah, those are guys, and we've talked about that a lot as well. Those are guys that I never really like was in love with them on the indies, and a lot of people were like heartbroken to see them go, and it obviously sucks to see them go because I think just any time, and we'll talk about it again when we talk about the signings that the PC recently did, is I think like any time like really really young talent is getting scooped up, and the indies don't have a whole lot of time with them, there is a thing that I kind of wonder about of the future of the indies and all that sort of stuff. But like those guys, I was just like, yeah, they'll probably be better there. Like they'll get reeled in a little bit, and it's probably better that they learn from the guys there and yeah, anything that you can do to kind of slow those guys down a little bit. And I don't mean that in a bad. I don't mean like they need to be putting headlocks on, but just have a little bit more purpose to what they're doing and a little bit more reason for why they're doing it. Like I think that's going to work out great for them. So I think they'll be fantastic in that company. It's funny they hit the ground running immediately. There's other people that have been in the PC for 7 years or whatever. These dudes are signed, and 3 weeks later, they're in this tournament and doing well already. So that's kind of cool to see.
Dude, they're putting the 3 women they just signed in the women's dust.
Yeah, which is hilarious given, and that's going to be a little bit of a topic we're going to talk about later is how many people are in this PC and how many people really need to be in this PC these days, which is...
They beat Isaiah Scott and Jake Atlas, who have been there for a year or longer. So it's like they just bring these guys in, all of a sudden they just push right off the bat. Yeah, but I've never was a big Rascals guy, but I thought they looked great in that match. And Dane and Maverick, they beat the Evolve duo of Kurt Stallion and August Gray. Again, fast-tracked. Imperium versus Lucha House Party. Is that on this episode?
I I'm trying to remember now. I watched it last night, but I don't.
Well, there's only 2 first-round matches here.
I don't think so.
That and the Tony Nese, Arya Daivari versus Adonis and Troy are the only 2 first-round matches that haven't been completed.
Oh, I guess they did. Why did I do? I don't remember that at all. Did I black out?
It wasn't very good.
I must have missed it or something. I don't know. I don't remember. I don't remember that match at all. Sorry.
Yeah, and then the Phantasmas boys beat the Bollywood boys.
That I did.
Bollywood boys. Yeah. Again, dusting the mothballs. But they're going to be on that. They're going to be part of that big India push.
Yes, yeah.
What they have coming up. With all these, do you see all these giant Indians on that
roster? I love it. Yes, I do, and I love it. These guys have been, speaking of guys too, there's like a bunch of dudes that have never even had a match. They've been in the PC for 4 years or whatever, but they're fucking huge, and I'm ready for them. I can't wait to watch that show. Like, some people are like, this show's going to be stupid. I'm like, dude, this is like my most anticipated WWE show of the year. I have no idea what to expect.
I think there's like multiple 7-footers.
Yes. Yeah, there's multiple 7-footers. There's Pittsburgh Pirates prospects. Like, I'm in.
Oh, wait, the guy from $1 Million Arm is still hanging around the PC?
I think so, yeah.
That's crazy. Is Mahabali Shira still hanging around?
Yes, yeah, he is, which is incredible. The best part about Mahabali Shira is Impact made him like one of their top guys. You know what I mean? They were like pushing him to the fucking moon. For years, that guy was like getting, like, legitimately like 2 or 3 years, that dude was like getting like a top tier run and like one of the biggest guys that they pushed or whatever. So then he signs to the PC and they haven't fucking used him once. I think. Is he still there? I don't even know if he's actually, I'll be honest.
Didn't he go back to Impact?
Yeah, now that I remember, I don't know if he's there anymore. So sorry, I apologize for he might not be there anymore.
He went back to Impact and he had a heel run.
Yes, I do. That's why I'm not sure if he's still around anymore.
So yeah, I don't think he's there, but I know they had Jinder Mahal on the poster and the Bollywood boys. So all of the existing Indians on the roster will be part of the and then all of the new guys.
Yeah, I want these monsters, man. I cannot wait for these monsters.
Yeah, so they lost in the first. So this tournament looks all right. I don't know, but I'm going to slap play, and we'll get to the fight pit at some point. Maybe I can do live commentary on the fight pit when it comes on.
It's not that exciting. I wouldn't worry about that. It's fine.
Oh, it's not that good, huh?
I like it, but it's not Fight Pit 1 for sure. It's
didn't match the first Fight Pit.
Nah, we're not going to be screaming about it like we were the first Fight Pit. While our pre-show banter is wrestling, I did want to bring up something to you. Real quickly, you tweeted out a few days ago you were watching a Ric Flair Samu match from Hawaii, I asked you a little bit earlier if I can get the link to it and watch it or whatever. And the video you sent me, I expected a video that was just gonna be Ric Flair versus Samu, and that's all I would watch or whatever. The video you sent me was like the best of NWA Hawaii or something like that. I think it was like a 3-hour video. I ended up watching like half that video, man. That was how much else from Hawaii exists out in the open?
More than you think.
Okay, I think I need to watch that because it's cool. Like the crowds are hyped. There's like Antonio Inoki is there just because like it's just guys that are on trips and like looking for vacations. So the video I watch is like, you got Kevin Sullivan, you got Antonio Inoki, you got Ric Flair, you got some like top tier dudes, and they're integrating with like the Samoans and the Hawaiian dudes, and that's like right up my alley. I love the roster makeup.
Well, if you ever wanted to deep dive the Kevin Sullivan Lars Anderson feud over the NWA Polynesian title, that's the video to watch because it's like 3 hours of like that's the connective tissue of the comp. But this was, Hawaii, you had the two promotions. You had the Maya Vea promotion, which is what this video is. And then you had the Big Time Wrestling, which was the Francis family. Ed Francis, who ran that promotion with Lord James Blears. So those were the two promotions in Hawaii. Because remember, Russ Francis at WrestleMania 2, he would wrestle in the offseason from the NFL because his father was the promoter.
Right, yeah.
But they closed up shop in the late 70s, I want to say, the Francis promotion, Big Time. And the Maya Veas kept going. First it was Peter, and obviously, Leia Maya Vea took over later. Most people know that because of The Rock. And she took over in the 80s. The video you're watching, there's no dates on anything, but just based on who the champions are and everything, because it's like the Lars Anderson era of the Polynesian title, and based on some of the other talent that's there, because Bruiser Brody pops up on the video, so it has to be before 88, obviously. And just based on who the title holders are and things like that, I think it's about 86, most of the stuff on that tape. Because that's when Lars Anderson was feuding with Kevin Sullivan. And then later on, there's a match where Superfly Tui they mention him being the champion, and he didn't win the title for the first time until 86. So I think the footage there it's definitely the Maivia promotion, number one. That's, just obvious because that's what it is. But I think the time frame is about 86. She didn't close up until into, I think they ran until about mid 88 is when she closed up shop. So this is late era and her promotion changed names a lot.
Mm-hmm.
The other one was Big Time Wrestling for most of its run. I think during this era, what is it called? Championship Wrestling from Hawaii, I believe.
Something like that. Yeah, they actually, it's unfortunately branding was not the top of mind for most of these territories. At one point, I think one guy calls it Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. One guy calls it NWA or Championship Wrestling from Hawaii. One guy calls it NWA Hawaii. One guy calls it the Hawaii. I forget what. It had a few different names just in that video I watched alone. So
the problem is because they constantly would change names, so their own commentators would get confused, but the fans knew what they were talking about. You know what I mean? It's probably one of those deals where there were probably shady business. You'd go bankrupt, change the name, go bankrupt, but or shut down and restart, whatever the case. Like Continental did a million times, where there's a million different names for that territory, which most people just refer to as Continental. But because of all the ownership changes and the shutdowns, they'd always open up under a different name, probably to hide from the creditors. But anyway, yeah, that's the Maivia Hawaiian promotion in the dying days. And what's funny about that, and you said you watched a lot of it, the crowds are big and hot. And you're like, wow, how did this not sustain? How did they not last? And it was a lot of big stars that would come in, like you mentioned, because the wrestlers loved to take that booking, and they would take it at a rate because it was like a vacation for them. Right.
There's two different, and doing a little bit of research, and for people that don't know, there's two different kind of methods there. There's your American wrestlers who are like, yeah, fuck yeah, I'll take a booking in Hawaii. I'll bring the kid, we'll hang out, we'll do whatever. Because every one of the promos, which is fantastic too, they do every promo, and everyone's outside without a shirt on. It's like every promo is Kevin Sullivan outside without a shirt on, because he's probably just like literally suntanning, and then they're like, all right, we need to do the promo. And he's like, we'll do it right here, baby. Let's go. But so there's that, and then there's also the guys coming back from Japan would then book the flight to stop in Hawaii on their way back from Japan. It breaks up the flight. Plus, you get a booking on the day, that you're off, because anytime you can make some money on the way back to America, you got to do it. So,
and you hang out on the beach.
Right, exactly. It's not a bad gig at all. So
the shows were loaded with stars. You had a few locals mixed in. And
but I like that. I like that idea that it's got a little bit of local dudes too. That to me, that because you get your Antonio Inokis, but then there's a bunch of these Samoans I've never even heard of. I'm like, all right, let's go. Like I love they're all cool. They're all great. You know what I mean? Like every one of those Samoan dudes just fucking rocks. So I was into it. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, that's the 3-hour comp, and I've been watching. There's more of that out there than you think.
We got to find this. We got to find this NWA Polynesian Hot Summer Night from Aloha Stadium. They apparently got 11,000 people in here for this. This is in August of 1985. Damn, that's August in Hawaii. The show is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 matches long. So,
yeah, and probably a real mix of big stars.
Yeah, so you got your openers, the Cobra versus Superfly Tui for the junior heavyweight title, WWF junior heavyweight title. Segi Sakaguchi versus Matt Bourne. Kengo Kimura versus Tatsumi Fujami, Jimmy Snuka versus Larry Sharp. Who we got here? Let's see some other guys. Dusty Rhodes and Magnum TA versus the Russians.
Yeah,
this is an awesome show. Lars Anderson versus Bad News Allen for the NWA Polynesian Heavyweight title.
They traded that title a couple of times,
awesome.
and I think that might be the match. Did Lars Anderson come into that with the title?
He did not. He won the title here. Yeah, so he beat Bad News to win the title.
This is August 8th, August 3rd.
What did I say? August 3rd.
Yeah, because Lars Anderson and Bad News Allen traded that title back and forth, I think, throughout 84 and 85. And then Lars Anderson transitioned to the Kevin Sullivan feud, and then from there he transitioned into the feud with Superfly Tui. But Superfly Tui, that was towards the end of the line. And the promotion would close not soon after that, and I think Tui was champion when they closed.
Yeah, they got Ricky Johnson and Rocky Johnson versus the Dirty White Boys, Antonio Inoki versus Bruiser Brody, and your main event is Ric Flair versus CV Afi. I cannot. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, CV Afi before he got all tatted up and came to WWF to become the Third Islander,
yes.
which was a very short-lived angle they did, where Heenan was still managing the Islanders, and he brought in CV Afi as the Third Islander. That really only lasted one taping, I think. But and the Johnsons versus
Dirty White Boys. It's Len Denton and Tony Anthony then.
Yeah, at the end of this comp I gave you, you see the angle for that and one of the matches, I think, too. So this is all, like I said, this tape I think is around 85, 86.
Okay. I need this whole show. I want this whole show.
I'm calling it a tape, but it's really just a 3-hour comp. But there's more on YouTube. Like I usually throw stuff like this on if I'm just working in the background, or, it's like background noise. And then if something catches my attention, like this Ric Flair Samu match or Sam Anuai match, because it wasn't Samu at the time, and he was in shape, like he hadn't gained weight yet. He was very young. I'll look up and it'll get my full attention. But yeah, there's more of this Hawaii stuff out there than you'd think with some of these sketchy YouTube accounts. The account that put this up has a ton of these 3-hour comps from territories all over the place and not the obvious ones. And that's what I like. Because I like watching new stuff.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I was watching a lot of the LA territory earlier this week, too, from the Olympic Auditorium. There's a lot of comps out there of that. I was watching a lot of Roy Shire stuff, too, like a lot of territories that I'm not super well versed in. I'm trying to get the flavor of them and see what they're about. But yeah, I don't know. I would have sent this stuff to you a lot earlier. I've been watching the Hawaii stuff for a while now because, you watch one and then you know how YouTube works. They recommend 19 more.
Yeah.
And you realize that there's a lot of this stuff out there. And, the Hawaii stuff is always a lot of fun because you get the big stars and almost by accident, you're going to get some interesting matchups like this Ric Flair Samu match, which I guess you wanted to talk about.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, there's not a ton we want to really get. I was just kind of wondering how much more Hawaii stuff there was out there, and if this was like this is it, and there's maybe a few other sketchy things here and there, but glad to know that there's a little bit more. Because, yeah, I mean, it was a cool match. It was a really, really fun back-and-forth match. The finish kind of stunk or whatever, which, again, like, territory wrestling, especially with stars and the NWA title, you're going to get a bunch of weird, kind of DQ finishes or count-outs or something like that. I mean,
that's a heel Flair finish.
Exactly, right, exactly. So it's like, I that some people might go, what a terrible. It's like, well, that's what he did every time he wrestled. So
no, he goes out there to face the local babyface. And he's not going to beat the guy clean in the middle and kill him off. They're going to do a bullshit finish so that the local babyface hero, keeps his heat. You don't want to bury the guy. And Flair, was the dirtiest player in the game, a heel NWA World Champion. And then, and I don't know if you watched. Did you watch the post match?
I did. Yes. Yeah.
So you see what they very smartly did. So Samu comes up short, Flair with the dirty count out win or whatever.
Well, so what he did is this was when they had the over the top rule. So he made it appear that Samu threw him over the top, so they DQ'd Samu, and Flair ran away with the title.
It's fucking great. Yeah, that's not bad. That's an awesome finish. I love that shit. So Flair survives with the title, and then Samu keeps his heat, and then in the post match interview, he immediately gets attacked by a group of heels. So the focus for the fans immediately shifts. Okay, forget about the Flair match. Came up short, he got cheated or whatever. Now he's doing this new thing. You know what I mean? So it's just, that's classic territory booking. Flair comes in, gives the guy a great match, and then that guy moves on to whatever it is he's going to move on with his local guys.
Yeah.
So I love shit like that. There was a simplicity to it for sure, but when you have a guy of Flair's caliber, once they got into the closing stretch, and I posted a small clip of it on YouTube, with the ref bump and then the schoolboy, and then Samu gets the visual pin, but the ref's not there to count. These are all things that have been so overdone that we're tired of them. But in the time and place, before they wore out all these kinds of finishes, right, this stuff got mega heat. because these fans packed that building to see Samu win that fucking NWA
right,
World title.
Yeah, when he reverses the figure four, you know, the famous spot that every guy has ever done in any match with Ric Flair, he reverses that figure four, and this crowd, the roof is exploding because they're like, we're gonna see it. Oh my God, Ric Flair is gonna tap out to his own move, and our guy's gonna do it. This is incredible. And then he gets to the ropes, and it's just, they're like, but they're just happy because Samu's got him on the rope. Even though he got to the ropes, they still, it's not like they're not disappointed. They're like, no, now he's got him, he's done, he's dead. And it's just like, that's when Flair decides, fuck this, and jumps over the top rope and gets himself disqualified. So, and it was really cool.
Yeah, cool match, a really cool territory. And remember, Samu, he started wrestling, major league wrestling, major territories, when he was like 17. That guy's had such a long career. He started. Remember, he had that run in the very, very early 83, 84 era Vincent Kennedy McMahon WWF as the third Wild Samoan, teaming with Alpha and Sika as Samula, and he was a teenager at that time. So that's how far back he goes. Wrestling in real places, and he was in Georgia before that. He was in New Japan as like a 19-year-old.
Yeah, he's only now 57 years old. You know what I mean? Like, think about that. Think of how long you've watched Samu wrestle, and he's only 57 years old.
I mean, most people remember him breaking through with the Samoan SWAT team, obviously, 89, 88, 89 or whatever. But he lived like a whole wrestling life before that.
Yeah.
And then of course he went on after that, the Head Shrinkers run, and the short-lived what was the ECW team? Good Samoan Gangster Party, or whatever
Gangster
that
Party,
was
I think.
called.
Yeah.
And then he's been consistently working indies, straight through to this day from there. I mean, this is a guy who's had like a 40-year career at this point. 40-year career. And he's still going. And very underrated wrestler. I mean, very underrated. I mean, you see in this match at such a young age too. He was probably 21, 22.
Yeah, so that we're gonna say, what was it, 1986? I said this was.
We're gonna say
85,
86.
Something I mean, if he's 22 or 23 years old in this match, and he's awesome. He's really good. Yeah,
he's a kid, a literal kid, but he's a 22 or 23-year-old with like a half a dozen years experience.
Yeah, you could tell he was definitely under 30 because he had the Samoan like body. When they're under 30, they're like, nice and trim and set, and then boom, 30 hits, and there's Samu. He's a big old fatty, but that's fine. I love him. That's why I love those guys.
Yeah, and they don't lose any athleticism.
No, they're still just as good as they were, but now they're just like 100 pounds heavier, and it fucking rules. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Like Rikishi was always, 300 pounds, but could do everything. He's still, you saw him as a 30-year-old, a young guy, and he did stuff, and then, he gained weight and continued to gain weight, and he was still fucking great. Until, he's jumping off the top of cages and shit until he's, in his 40s, so.
Yeah, no, just, great wrestling family, and they just pop up everywhere all the time, because there's just so many members of that family, and they just, they were all incredible talents, and they're just omnipresent. They're just everywhere always.
Yeah.
And always a good addition.
And they're always good.
Roster.
They're always good too. That's the best part.
Yeah, I just literally reviewed Jacob Fatu versus ACH behind the paywall. Thursday TV reviews. $5 tier. Patreon.com/Voices of Wrestling. So it's just a legacy, and hopefully they're all having kids and they all become wrestlers. And we just have this family tearing up wrestling into perpetuity. I mean, because they've just got it, man. They've got that wrestling gene, and
they get it from day one too. They understand the business from day one too, and they're all effort. They all care. You know what I mean? Like that's always what's pretty impressive about it. So.
Except Manu.
Well, yeah. Well, there's always a black sheep in the family. So
poor Manu. Right.
Yeah, Manu. All right, so that's our pre-show banter. We have people in the chat room saying, "When's the banter? What did I miss?" That was the banter. We talked wrestling during our banter this time. So.
Forgive us for talking wrestling.
I know people are dying about it.
Bad job out of us. Look, we didn't plan on doing. Let's break down the Dusty Classic. I mean, that just happened, like the banter. I mean, we may as well get the Performance Center stuff out of the way then, and just rip up our plans on how to start the show.
That's let's fucking do it. That's fine. Then we'll do our first topic after that. So 4 new I should say Performance Center signees coming into NXT here. It is, one second, I thing crashed. There we go. I know Priscilla Kelly's one of them. Okay, there we go. So we have Priscilla Kelly, Lacey Ryan, Elena Black, and Anthony Henry are all going to the Performance Center. As we said, Priscilla Kelly, Lacey Ryan, and Elena Black immediately going into the tag team tournament as well, which is pretty funny for a lot of reasons, which we'll talk about. Then Anthony Henry, a lot older than you think he is, joins the Performance Center as well. Basically, every Evolve guy, every guy that worked Evolve the last year is now, I think, there, right? With the exception of, like, Eddie Kingston. This is it, right?
And he could have been.
Right.
Gabe got them all in. We're just waiting on, you know who didn't.
Well, there's some canceled guys that can't come in, right?
Well, forget the canceled guys, but the other workhorsemen. Henry's partner, why is his name slipping my mind right now? He's really good, too.
Why am I can't. Oh, no. People are...
Help me out here, Rich.
I'm trying. My brain's broken. It was... JD Drake. JD Drake. He's like the only one. I mean, that whole Evolve crew from the end of Evolve, and I mean the Evolve guys, not the borrowed talent from WWE. I mean, Gabe got them all in. He got every one of them a job now, except for poor JD Drake, who I think is a quality wrestler. I mean, And I meant to say, I said not the canceled guys. Well, one of the canceled guys got in there, so that's all right.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
I was going to say, right. Let me make an amendment to that is, well, even the canceled guys, some of them got in, so.
Yeah, I mean, Josh Briggs did get in. That's who you're talking about.
Yes.
So, yeah, I mean, and you see here, Priscilla Kelly, obviously with Gabe ties, Anthony Henry, obviously. Good for Anthony Henry. Good, solid pro. I don't think I have any issue. He's. Oh yeah, here's Imperium versus Lucha House Party. This must have left no impression on you.
It must have either not left an impression, or because I was like skipping ahead on commercials. Maybe I like hit too much on the trigger, or I left the room and came back, or something like that. I have no idea what happened to that match, but I have no memories of it whatsoever. So,
well, I'll keep one eye on it here. New names for the ladies. Now, we were tipped off to Lacey Ryan a few months ago.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know if you remember.
I did, yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know much about her anyway, so
I don't either. But we were tipped off to her. Yeah. We knew she was getting signed. The other two kind of came out of nowhere, especially Elena Black. I mean, what are they seeing in Elena Black? I mean, look, I'm sure she's a nice person.
Well, she was on AEW Dark, so that's what they see in her.
And I don't know if you saw this, but another Powerhouse Hobbs. I was going to call him Will Hobbs, but he's Powerhouse Hobbs now. Powerhouse Hobbs said on the, I think the AEW Unrestricted podcast, I think it was.
Yeah, it was this week. I think we got a press release about it, if I remember correctly, but yeah.
I mean, he said he debuted on Dark. WWE tried him out, told him no thanks. He debuted on Dark. They called him back. That's what he says on the
Coincidence,
podcast.
I'm sure, yeah.
And now we see Elena Black does a couple shots on Dark, and she's in. We've heard stories before. Ben Carter, there's others. You work Dark, and, we've been told for months now that you work AEW Dark, you're essentially trying out for two companies. You're trying out for AEW, and WWE is absolutely watching Dark. And we had a WWF employee slip into our DMs and get very mad at us. Remember this?
Mm-hmm.
That's a bunch of bullshit. We're getting talent from everywhere. And I was like, I concede that. I'm sure you are. But there's no question that they're scouting Dark. And Dark is doing a lot of the work for them. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that either. I think that's kind of smart. Where it's like, why wouldn't you have somebody watching everything? I've always said that. WWE should hire people whose job it is to watch worldwide wrestling.
Yeah, with scouts. Like, yeah, why don't they have a scouting department where, everybody, there's 20 people and you divvy up the entire wrestling world amongst those 20 people. One geek's got to watch ZERO1, another geek, and he's got to keep his eye on the deep puros, and he can report back and say, hey, this guy's got some potential. Here you go, and cut up a match or cut up the tape and say, hey, here's what I think this guy. Here's yada yada. Like just do it from that system. It's like it never. I never
They
understood
have
what the
the
resources they
resources
have.
to
Yeah,
Yeah.
never understood why they wouldn't do that.
And maybe they do for all we know. But they should have a guy. You're the Japan guy. You're the Mexico guy. You're the U.S. Indies guy. You watch Impact and AEW every week, including Dark and Explosion. You're watching MLW. They should have someone watching everything. Their eyes should be everywhere. And AEW the same. Tony Khan should have somebody watching everything in that company and keeping an eye on talent. And it's obvious that someone within WWE is watching Dark. I mean, there's no question about it. So it's very advantageous if you're an indie wrestler to get on Dark, not just for the people you're wrestling for live in that building, but because now WWE is watching that show too. And AEW either passed on Elena Black or she simply preferred the WWE offer. Some people have a destination in mind. Ben Carter instantly comes to mind. He was WWE or bust. When he popped up in AEW, not just on Dark, but remember he wrestled on that Dynamite special, that Saturday Night Dynamite special. I don't know if you recall.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah, they really featured him. He wrestled Ricky Starks on Dark, and I think he wrestled Scorpio Sky on that Dynamite special. And he lost all of his matches, obviously, because he wasn't signed. But, they gave him offense, and they featured him, and they really rolled out the red carpet for him. But when we talked to people inside AEW, they were very pessimistic. Remember the reactions we got? They were like, I don't know about this one, because we were like, wow, you're going to get this guy in? He's the hottest thing. And, and we were told flat out, he's Seth Rollins' boy, and he is destination WWE, and he will wait it out until he can get into WWE.
Yeah, kind of we asked, and he kind of told us, don't try too hard. And we said, okay. And,
Yeah, it was kind of the vibe. And that's the vibe we got when we talked to some other people too. So some people just have their heart set on WWE, and it is what it is. So I don't know the deal with Elena Black. I've seen her wrestle plenty of times. I don't know. If I was the scout, I wouldn't see her as any kind of special prospect at all. I mean, I think she's fine. She's extremely young. I'm surprised WWE signed her. Isn't she like 19?
She's like, I think she's just turned 19. And she's somebody that I actually want to talk about a little bit. Not because I think she's any good or I think that she's like this game-changing prospect or anything like that. But to me, it's like, it's a really weird thing that WWE is doing here by signing her. And to me, it's something that really makes me wonder what the hell the state of indie wrestling is going to be moving forward. If somebody that is 19 years old, a year or two out of wrestling school, I think she maybe graduated wrestling school at the beginning of 19 or late 2018 or whatever. She trained locally here. She trained in Chicago, so I'm kind of aware of her and or where she trained and all that sort of stuff. And she worked a little bit of shots in freelance, a little bit of shots in AEW, and now she's gone and she's scooped up and she's ready to go. And it's like, to me, that it's just, in the old indies, like, she would stay around for a lot, and we would find out if she's good or not, or she would get some jobs and she would get some work and she would move around. She'd do GCW, she'd do, AEW, she would do freelance, she would do Evolve, like, you would get an idea. She'd do some shimmer shots, she would do that sort of stuff where you can say, okay, let's really see what we got in her. Right now, it's like you're signing people just because they exist, just because they're on AEW Dark, just because they have some sort of pulse. I mean, they're just grabbing anybody. I mean, between AEW and WWE, it's to me, it's untenable. It's like, well, what the hell's the point of the indies moving forward? Like, in 2021 and 2022, why do the indies need to exist anymore?
It's hurting development for sure.
It sucks, yeah.
Just look at the person she's teaming with in this tournament, Priscilla Kelly. Priscilla Kelly is a legitimate most improved candidate for 2020. I mean, she had that great match against Thunder Rosa, which I raved about.
It's got a lot of votes for match of the year as well. It's doing pretty well.
It deserves it. Yeah. I went like 4.5, 4 3/4. It was a great match. And she performed very well in a match against Chris Dickinson on a Game Changer show on the beach during peak COVID over the summer. And that's almost like the template for someone like Black, because Priscilla Kelly stunk. She flat out stunk for years. Would you agree with that?
Oh, no, she was horrendous. She was horrendous. Yeah, this is like 3-4 years ago. She was horrendous.
And now this year, it's like she just put it all together. That's why you can't write people off, because you just never know. Because she never came across as particularly athletic or gifted. She obviously had a great look, and she worked as a valet in Evolve for many years, and but her match is just, she didn't seem like someone who had any talent. And then 2020 comes around, and all of a sudden, I don't know what happened, but she put it all together, and she more than deserves this major league contract. I mean, she's very good now, and she's got a television look, and she absolutely deserves everything she's getting right now with this contract and being put on TV. Elena Black to me is like Priscilla Kelly 5 years ago. She isn't any good. I mean, she's got a gimmick, right? But if you strip away her gimmick, what's there? A really green 19-year-old wrestler who has never impressed me a single time, bell to bell. And that speaks to your point. We're just signing these people as soon as they develop any kind of name. And as soon as they get high-profile bookings, indie bookings.
Yeah, as long as they get booked by one of the quote-unquote approved companies or whatever, which, they can say, nobody... That's the case. It's been the case for years or whatever. There's certain companies that once you get booked at that company, that is now when WWE will kind of take notice. They're letting those guys do the work for them. And Gabe was the one before. It's like, hey, if Gabe starts booking them, okay, cool. We know that they got the stamp of approval. And there's some other ones as well that are definitely up there now in WWE land, with AEW Dark being obviously the top one.
That's what it is now, yeah.
Yeah. But like the second you get booked on any of those, just the basic idea that like you've been booked on there is like, oh, okay, cool, that's a stamp of approval. Okay, let's go talk to him, let's reach out to him, let's sign him or whatever. But like the floor's been lowered so much now that like you're saying, Elena Black, who could be, I don't know if she's going to be good or not. I have no fucking clue. If you told me 3 years ago would Priscilla Kelly be good, I'd say no, she's terrible. Don't sign her. And like you said, now she's great. She's really good. She got her look together. She got her wrestling together. She's great. Like she's really, really good. But we're not going to allow people to get to that level anymore because the floor has gotten so and indies are so desperate to book people that they're booking 19-year-olds that are just out of wrestling school, and then that's enough for WWE to go, okay, cool, thanks, bye, and then they pick them up because there's nothing in Elena Black's resume that makes her, and that, again, I don't want to like pick on her. She's fucking 19. You know what I mean? Like that's any 19-year-old that's just out of school probably, unless they're an absolute immediately
prodigy.
Put together prodigy, is gonna they're all gonna look like crap. Most wrestlers.
She's not, and believe me, she's not a prodigy.
No.
Definitely never had a memorable match. I mean, I've seen her wrestle plenty of times watching these awful indie shows all day. She's not that good.
No, she's
but
really
again,
not.
She's 19. I'm not saying. She could be. She could end up being Sasha Banks. I have no idea.
You have no clue,
Okay.
and I don't know that we're ever going to get a clue again, and that's what's got me a little worried. Is I like AEW the way that they're producing people, and we'll see when they get that third hour or that another show or whatever. But I think they're doing a decent job with Dark and stuff like that. But that's going to come untenable at some point. They're going to maybe have to do something else. And I know that Cody and QT have their school and that sort of stuff. So that's one way. But this WWE Performance Center stuff, I mean, just grabbing people this early into their life and putting them into this facility with 500 other people. I mean, I just can't. It hasn't been successful yet, and I don't know when it's going to become successful. You know what I mean? Like I just don't get it. And at some point, they're going to have to look at the people that are there and say, do we need all these people here? I mean, what I just would love it. I'd love to be there one day and just see what it looks like. There's got to be. I mean, look at the women's roster alone.
They're still playing keep away is what they're doing.
It's so ridiculous.
They're still playing keep away. I just ran down this Dusty Classic. Look at all the names in that tournament, and like half of them, like you never see them. They dust the mothballs off, and oh yeah, this guy still works there. And it's a game of keep away now. Look, I was surprised they booked Elena Black on Dark. I didn't even think she was ready for Dark.
Right? Yeah, I agree.
And look at some of the people you see on Dark. I mean, they bring some people into Dark, and you never see them again in some cases that are just horrendous, and I didn't even think she was ready for Dark. And, and I'm okay with just throwing people against the wall to see what sticks, because that's what Dark should be. And then you run into, you find a Will Hobbs, you find a Nick Camarado who just debuted on Dynamite, who they obviously like. And I wouldn't be stunned if he signed already after that Moxley match. Moxley sold that entire match for the guy, so they like him. You find a Griff Garrison. You find, you go right down the list. Serpentico got a job off of Dark and is a regular now. I'm probably forgetting obvious ones, but Bear Country. It looks like Bear Country is going to stick, or at least is someone they're interested in because they're getting more high-five. And some of them don't work out. You have some come through that are just a disaster, and you never hear from them again. I saw Elena Black booked on Dark, and I was like, I cannot believe they're giving Elena Black, of all people, a shot. I couldn't believe it. And then you turn around, And she's getting signed.
Yeah.
It's just, it's no time to develop. And she's going to go into this warehouse with the rest of the warehouse wrestlers. And like you're saying, I'm not confident they can develop her there. I mean, my God, she should be wrestling in front of crowds for the next 5 years. Not stored away in a warehouse and being put on TV. She's going to be in this tag tournament next week or whatever. In this weird environment, it's happening. It's so soon. I mean, you're dead on. It's just that people are getting signed way too quickly. And what are the indies going to look like when everything gets back to normal? It's going to be the same collection, the same dozen people that Game Changer books that are unsignable.
Yeah, it's all just the unsigned. Everyone is ECW now in terms of like the land of misfit toys. I don't mean that in like they're booked like ECW, but just that like that was that roster then is because WCW and WWE were signing everybody left and right and doing so all that was left was these scraps of young guys that nobody wants or people that have been there and then didn't like it or left or what. I mean that is it. That's what it's going to be.
And believe me, there's no Paul Heymans out there.
No, that's the other problem.
To get these people over the proper way. Okay, that's the other, so it's going to be a dire scene. But good for Priscilla Kelly. Good for all of them. I mean, someone offers Elena Black a contract, she'd be able to
I'm taking it for sure.
Anthony Henry worked for years and years. He's earned this. I mean, they've all earned it, but I just, in some ways, I'm who knows? Maybe she'll kill it. Maybe we're the only ones not seeing it. I don't know. I didn't hear people ever raving about Elena Black, and I know people think this is probably going to come off like a cruel segment, but I hope people are understanding the bigger picture.
Yeah, I'm using her as an example, not her specifically.
Well, she just got signed. She's the example.
Right. Wrestler A, insert wrestler A here, who's a 19-year-old that just got done training and they're immediately scooped up and put into a warehouse to go do hip toss class with Aaliyah for the 6 straight years or whatever. It's like, that's.
Yeah, and it's almost like, I understand it's a competitive environment. You either have to sign them or the other guys are going to sign them, but it is going to stunt growth, and it could be shooting yourself in the foot long term if there's not a healthy, sustainable indie system out there to return after COVID. Because these wrestlers working once a week and working out in the ring with Dustin Rhodes before the show starts, it's not enough. It's not enough. And I know AEW is looking for answers. They just sent Private Party to Impact, which I think is great, and there should be more of that. But it's if these people are going to get plucked off the indies 5 years, 7 years, 10 years too soon, you got to find a way to develop them, and I think that's the challenge for these promotions moving forward.
Yeah, we talked about it a lot. I mean, I think the best way to do this is really create your own territory system. We've been saying this from the minute we've started this show. Is I couldn't believe the WWE didn't do it even then, and now it's even more glaring that like, why are you not doing that? And I got to think that AEW has that in their mind, at least with the Cody, QT, Marshall school or whatever. And it might all be an issue with COVID and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, that is, to me, that's always been the answer. Is just like, and we've always said, have 4 or 5 different territories, assign guys that run that territory, and send people there. I mean, WWE did do that for years. That was their developmental system, and I think it worked pretty damn good. I mean, yeah, as long as you don't have Bill DeMott in charge of one of the territories, it could work pretty well. But yeah, I don't know. I always thought that was a good system, and they got away from it, and everybody just goes to this warehouse and learns how to not ever progress or do anything. And you got, people waiting there for 7 years for no reason, or people that, like you said, on mothballs, I'm not doing anything. But to me, that's always been the answer is developmental territories, because it's different fans, different people, and I'd have 5 different, I'd have 5 different booking personalities out there. Hey, Sanjay Dutt's got his crew, Gabe's got his territory. This guy's got their territory. Hell, the UK guys, Jim Smallman runs this territory. Like that to me has always been the answer. But I don't know. We'll see.
Well, that was the original idea behind NXT and NXT UK. The problem is NXT, they needed it to take viewers from Dynamite, so now it's a major league brand.
Right.
So that was kind of the idea. But yeah, you're right.
They run Wednesdays first, Joe. Come on. What are you talking about?
Yeah, of course. Oh, silly me. Before that dastardly Dynamite poked in on their territory. But I think AEW recognizes this because, you've got the Nightmare Factory, and now they're running shows. They've got that Nightmare Factory showcase up on YouTube. They've got the Matt Sydal affiliated school. They've got AEW Dark. So I think they recognize the issue. They're sending talent to Impact, right? So they recognize the issue and they're trying to figure out solutions. And WWE obviously has the infrastructure. I mean, once life is back to normal, they'll get the coconut loop running again or the Largo loop. I'm pissed off about that because we coined Largo loop and then people started calling it the coconut loop. But we called it the Largo loop before people were calling it the coconut loop.
Correct. Yes.
Right? It's the Largo loop.
It works much better than the coconut loop. That's
yes.
dumb.
So, that's going to be the challenge, though. So if you're going to sign everybody, well, great. Now you have to find a way to develop them. So, and I don't begrudge anyone for signing. I mean, you'd be a fool not to.
Well, especially in this. I mean, with if someone's going to hand me a guaranteed amount of money this year and I'm a fucking professional wrestler, in 2020 and 2021 with all this COVID shit, I will take your bag of money.
Jake Atlas was another one who was WWE or bust. I mean, some of these guys that's the dream, and it's going to take the next generation who grow up with AEW on TV. You see what I mean? And then maybe you get some who are like, oh, I grew up an AEW fan. I really want to go to AEW. Right now, people who are 22, 23 years old, they grew up on WWE. So you're going to run into a lot of Ben Carters and Jake Atlases where that's the dream. Whereas there might be a 15-year-old somewhere who's been a wrestling fan since they were 10, and they might be like, man, I can't wait. I want to wrestle for New Japan. I want to wrestle for AEW. I want to wrestle for, whatever the fuck. Because, and that's why it's also important. Because there were probably 2 generations of pro wrestlers who grew up with one game in town.
Yeah.
And then that became the only place to be.
Who did we, in our first year when we were doing interviews, who did we interview that said that they wanted to work for Chikara? That was like their dream. Trip Cassidy, yes. I remember we were like, what? And he was like, yeah, that was my dream, work for Chikara. I want to do King of Trios. That was like, when I arrived, I knew I was in King of Trios. And I was like, man, that was awesome. But
yeah. And he had handwritten brackets for King of Trios and the Young Lions awesome, Cup. Yeah. And he grew up on Chikara, and that's where he wanted. That was his dream, was to wrestle in Chikara. But yeah, that's what I mean. There's teenagers now who, are their environment that they know is that there's AEW and New Japan and WWE, and it's not always going to be the goal for all of these people. It's Priscilla Kelly is Gigi Dolan, Elena Black is Cora Jade. They are teaming in the Dusty Classic against Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell. So they're going down. I mean, because LeRae and Hartwell are part of The Way, Rich. Big push for them. And the other girl, what's the one I don't know anything about? Lacey Ryan is Zoe Stark. She's teaming with Marina Shafir, and they're facing Shotzi Blackheart and Ember Moon, so they'll lose too. Shafir, I guess the other girl quit. The other 4 horse.
Jasmine Duke. No, I think Sean Ross Sapp had a report today that she is doing video game streaming full time for WWE now. That's her job. So,
wait,
I'm not kidding.
Wait, her job is to stream games for WWE.
Yes.
Whatever. She was terrible anyway.
She was a bad MMA fighter and a bad wrestler. So good for her. Yeah.
They were all terrible MMA fighters except for Rousey. Remember we used to say that and people would get mad at us?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Well, I mean, it's not like it's not public record. I mean, even if you're not an MMA fan, I was at that time. When all of them were fighters, I was not only a fan, I was like a writer. I followed the sport. They were terrible with the exception of Rousey. They were bad. Baszler was okay, and she came from a generation before, and it was like the early day. I'll leave her out of it. But Shafir and Duke were bad fighters. They just weren't any good. They're not very good wrestlers either. Duke was really bad. Shafir might have a little potential, but Duke was really bad. She just wasn't a natural. You ever see somebody and they're just like,
yeah.
They're all wrong for it.
Yeah, so here's what Sean, he said, I had this report on Fightful Select, but for people wondering about Jasmine Duke, I mean, nobody was really wondering, but wondering about her absence from the Dusty Classic, she's creating content full-time for Up, Up, Down, Down, and by all accounts is really happy doing it. When WWE hired her, she streamed full-time, so congratulations to Jasmine Duke.
I don't understand how, like, the WWE owns that now, right? Up, Up, Down, Down.
Yes, yeah, correct.
How much money do you think they're making off of that? Isn't YouTube revenue in the shitter?
They're doing like Twitch stuff and whatnot too.
Oh,
yeah, they're probably doing okay. They're probably doing okay.
Okay.
They're doing better than fucking Miro and Kip, which I don't.
My question is, how can they afford to pay someone to just do that?
Yeah, I don't know if I would. Yeah, I would need a little bit more out of you than just I'm a full-time streamer. I need like, you know, Dakota Kai. Yeah, you want to fuck around on, you know, and play games. That's fine. Mia Yim or whatever the hell you want to fuck around and play games. That's fine. You know, Xavier. I'm not paying Jesmond Duke to play video games.
That's
for
what
me.
I mean.
Like,
yeah. So they must be making a significant amount of money if they're paying someone to just do that.
I guess
it's bizarre.
Good gig if you can get it, though. I guess. So.
I guess so. Yeah, I mean, do you have to be good at these games to do that, or you could be?
I think you just have to.
You could be a schmuck as long as you have a name. People will watch you play.
Correct. Yes. Or you're entertaining like us. We're schmucks, but we're entertaining, so people listen to us.
Right. And you have had people pay you to watch you play video games.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
Behind our paywall.
Mm-hmm.
So, obviously, a market for this. Should I fire up the Tecmo Super Bowl for the?
Me trying to. People have said, "I'll get Joe to stream like, you know, Out of the Park or Tecmo," and I'm like, you can explain to Joe Lance how to stream video games.
How hard can it be?
For you, pretty difficult.
How's a dedicated online?
You were, yeah, but you've lost it along the way. I don't know. When I first met you, you were a very tech savvy person, but I don't know.
What do you mean I've lost it?
I don't know.
What do I struggle with? I do everything you asked me to do.
No, you do okay. We'll find out how to go stream Tecmo then. We can. That wouldn't be bad content. That wouldn't be bad content, but.
Nah, I'm a you know. Tremendous.
We have to get you on. Well, we got a new laptop too. We can put you on the emulator. Might be tough to play it because to actually get it from your system is pretty tricky. You need a bunch of cords and shit. Like I have those. So.
Yeah. Oh well, you have the cords.
Yes, but now because it's like it takes so long. I just do emulator stuff if I ever do stream.
Right, instead of hooking up the NES.
Yeah, it's like it takes fucking 20 minutes because I have like I could take a picture of my bat. It's so ridiculous to get it hooked up. I'm just like I'm just gonna download the fucking ROM and play it on my. It's like it's fine. It's the same. So,
could you imagine me playing Tecmo on Twitch with my little picture in the corner with the headset on?
Yeah, I can't. That's
screaming.
So the only reason I do want to do it, and it's actually. Every time that like Miro comes out or Kip comes out and they're like, oh, they're on Twitch, like, because I always look and like they have no followers, nobody watches their fucking videos. Like, I just so badly want to stream on there, and like especially you, like maybe you and I have to just like fucking find a way to play Tecmo or whatever, just so we could like blow their numbers out of the water and just say stop calling them Twitch streamers. You know what I mean? Like they're very unsuccessful Twitch streamers. Like that, they don't get to say that they're that. I don't get to call myself basketball player Rich Craich because I play fucking pickup basketball occasionally. You know?
Don't Miro streams do just a couple hundred viewers?
Yeah, we do more on this. Like not right now, but like at the end of the day, when we do a post show, when we do the AEW post shows, pay-per-view shows, we get more than Miro does on his streams.
Wow.
Which again, we don't call ourselves fucking live streamers, Joe and Rich. No.
Yeah. You'd think just with his name alone, though, it would.
Yeah.
Well. Who wants to watch him? Like,
I know.
That's the thing. Like, I kind of understand it. Why would I want to watch that guy play video games? What is he playing?
I do not know what Miro's playing these days, but.
What does anyone? Is he playing Halo? What do people play nowadays?
Halo. Yeah, he's playing Halo 1, yes.
Yeah. He's just firing up the Xbox One and playing Halo. What's he playing?
Let's see. Let me I'll watch
is
his
playing is he playing GTA Horse? I want to play GTA Horse.
GTA Horse, yeah, you're big into GTA Horse. I don't think you're gonna like it though, but that's fine.
GTA Horse? I think I'm gonna love GTA Horse.
Okay, so the recent ones are just him sitting in front of a screen talking.
I don't think he plays games. I think he just chats.
Does he? Okay. Here he is playing Call of Duty with Kip Sabian. So
wait, Halo is a dated reference, but Call of Duty.
No, there's a new Call of Duty. There's a new Call of Duty right now.
Okay.
I don't know if there might be a new Halo. No, I actually don't think there is. This appears to be him playing Destiny, if I remember correctly. Yeah, he basically just plays like the generic first-person shooters. So
I got nephews. They play Fortnite.
Yeah. I think he might play Fortnite.
I got a nephew. He's got a YouTube channel where he plays Fortnite. He has one follower. It's his brother. and he like sends out like the alerts like, I'm going to be firing up the Fortnite at 6:00.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Come all.
So I'm like, why don't you just go
tell
knock
your
on
brother.
Your brother's door and tell him? Like, he's the only one you're sending this to.
He's an aspiring streamer. So
he's we go over there and like the grandparents are over there. He's trying to explain it to like the grandfather.
Just don't. Just don't.
They don't know what you're doing. You're wasting your time. They're just pretending to be impressed by this.
Yeah, the grandfathers have worked on the railroad and lost 3 fingers, and you're like, yeah, I play Call of Duty on the computer, and people watch me. It's like, don't tell old people, like
your brother from the other room,
right? Right. Just don't.
Why doesn't your brother just come in your room and watch? Why is he watching on his like computer? Like he could just literally
go over your shoulder.
Yeah,
just go over your shoulder and watch it.
Yeah. You could play with each other. Like, you don't even need to, like, I don't know. Yeah. But, so I'm just curious what Miro plays. Is he playing, what's that fucking game that all the super nerds play with? It's
Among
like,
Us? Are you thinking of Among Us?
No. It's not a console game. It's the,
That's a computer game. That's fine.
the puzzle thing, the fucking with the weird looking polygons, the, what the fuck?
Minecraft?
People still play that shit?
I don't know. Yeah. Actually, as I'm looking on Twitch, the top 10,
huge,
there's Justa Minx is playing Minecraft right now. 4.9 thousand people are watching Justa Minx play Minecraft. So yeah.
Why? Is my question.
55,000 people are watching this one dude play Resident Evil right now.
Like PlayStation Resident Evil?
I don't think it's PlayStation Resident Evil. I don't want to click it because it's going to start playing the video, but I'm guessing it's a more modern Resident Evil. I'm guessing it's not the horrendous PlayStation Resident Evils that are completely unplayable in 2020.
With the jump scares?
Yeah, it's so bad. Yeah. They're just square. There's boxes moving around.
I just don't understand. Like, look, I understand those games and what the appeal is. You're trying to what the fuck is the point of Minecraft?
That there is no point. That there is no point. Yeah, I couldn't get into it either. But
I'll never understand.
It's definitely not for my generation of people, but the kids love it. So I don't know. I just sounded sold when I said the kids love it.
Well, you are old.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
It does. It's like, listen, the Minecraft. It's like people that are 30 streaming it for people that are 12. It's weird.
Yeah.
Like it's fucking weird. There's something weird about it, and I don't like it. I smell a rat. And look, I have perfectly honed instincts. I don't like what's going on with the Minecraft. Not a fan of it. What else does Miro play?
I close the window. I think it's just Call of Duty, and he talks. So there you go. So.
Yeah.
Good for him. Well. Good for him. Good for Twitch streamer Miro. It makes me very annoyed every time I see that. But there you go. So I don't know how we got there. Or what the hell we're doing here anymore? But let's do a quick little break here to let people know about our sponsor for this week's show. As we said, presented by MyBookie. And Joe, it's that time of the year when divisions are decided, conferences are decided this weekend, champions are crowned, and legends are born. It's almost time for the big game. There's nothing about the big game in this copy, but I just like avoiding copyright by saying the big one, the big game. But Joe, it is time for the NFL playoffs. You've waited and watched all year as your team rose to the top. Well, not yours so much, but or fell to the bottom. But now it's your turn to win big. He did not win big, but you've heard the name just about everywhere. MyBookie.ag. They're the industry's leading online sportsbook and casino, and it's not hard to understand why. With thousands of lines to bet on for all of your favorite sports, NFL, NBA, college basketball, MMA, soccer, they've got all the latest odds, period. You can take advantage of MyBookie's prop builder and live in-game betting, where every single run, throw, and touchdown is another chance for you to put cash in your pocket. Visit their mobile-friendly website today and get your deposit matched halfway up to $1,000 by using our promo code VOW when you make your first deposit. The best part, and we talked about this last week, is they make it very simple with a variety of ways to deposit instantly, including credit card, bank transfer, Bitcoin, and many, many more. Whether you're at home or on the go, on your laptop or on your phone, it's not too late to make your New Year's resolution a resolution to get paid. Bet, win, and get paid at mybookie.ag. Promo code VOW. You want to get some live betting advice here? It's actually kind of for me, to be honest, because I kind of want to get involved in this weekend. Two big games this weekend, so.
Yeah, I mean, I'm okay with any results. You just have to root against the Buccaneers because you can't root for Brady.
I in good conscience. Well, I'm in a weird position too, but being a Chicagoan, I'm supposed to hate the Packers, but I don't.
I'm against the Packers.
Yeah. So, but and then there's the Buckers. So you got the money line is plus 140 for the Buccaneers, minus 170 for the Packers. The spread is 3.5 plus 3.5 for the Bucks.
I think the Packers will win the game. I don't like the Buccaneers defense. It's an all or nothing defense, and I think Aaron Rodgers is so good. I think he'll pick apart that defense. I think the Buccaneer defense has the blitz to be effective, and I think that plays right into Aaron Rodgers' hands. So I think the Packers will win the game. 3.5. I mean, you don't like the hook. If you could buy the hook and get that down to 3, I'd feel more comfortable. You never like lines like 3.5, 7.5, 10.5.
Yeah, because that's close. That's really
that hook
close.
Is gonna fuck you.
Yeah.
So I don't like the 3.5. If you can get that game at 3, I'd play it. I think Packers money line is a good play because I think they win the game. The AFC, it looks like Mahomes is gonna play. But obviously, you don't touch that until that becomes more concrete. If you get early in the week, if you were able to get a favorable Chiefs line when it was still up in the air, I think that was a smart thing to do.
Yeah, they're -3 right now in my bookie. So
yeah, I mean, you obviously have to like that. I mean, Bills are dangerous. Don't get me wrong. They could put up points. Their defense flies around, but it's the Chiefs. And the thing about the Chiefs is they looked okay with Mahomes out of the game. I mean, I know he threw one bad pick in the end zone, but he put the game away on that final drive, and they went for it on 4th and 3, and he made the play. So I just think that team's a machine, and I like the money line in both of those games because I like the Packers and the Chiefs to win outright. And at only 170 you said? What are you laying 170 with the Packers?
Yeah, minus 170 with the Packers, minus 160 for the Chiefs.
Yeah, that's decent value
that's
too. I mean, those are the two best teams in the league. They're at home. That I like them both on the money line. You don't want to lay the big juice with the 170, and you want to lay the 3 points instead. You can do that because then you're only laying 110. You know what I mean? So you're mitigating the juice there. I mean, you can go that direction too. I like the Chiefs at 3. I don't like the 3.5 with Green Bay. That's a little scary. That's nothing worse than losing by half a point. But yeah, I hope we get a Packers-Chiefs Super Bowl. I think that's the best game. I think Packers-Bills would be a fun game. Bills are a good story. I got to tell you, though, I'm okay with never hearing Bills Mafia ever again.
Dude,
I'm so tired of hearing about Bills
I have a few
Mafia.
friends that are Bills fans, and they're the most annoying fans ever. I really kind of want them to lose, so I don't have to hear them talk anymore.
Yeah, I'm just so tired of hearing about Bills Mafia.
They have that, and they have the weird Red Sox thing too, where they're just like, oh, we lose so much, and I'm like, all right, shut up, like, we lost 4 Super Bowls in a row, and I'm like, you got to 4 Super Bowls, that's pretty cool. Like,
oh, you know about the Bills fans, yeah, and a lot of them like that was you're talking 30 years.
I know, and I'm like, come on, you weren't even born, dude. You were like 2, like you don't care. It doesn't matter to you. That's fine.
Yeah, I mean, they weren't rocking a Darryl Talley jersey during those. They were in diapers, so I don't want to hear it. Their hearts weren't broken by Scott Norwood. They half of these people, some of them, like you're saying, they were toddlers. But yeah, that wouldn't be a bad game. It's just this weekend is all about get Tom Brady out of here. That's really all I care about concerning this week's games. I'd be happy with any of the other 2 Super Bowl matchups. Just who can stand? Who wants to watch Brady again? I mean, it makes you sick.
It's infuriating. I was watching. I like to around this time of year watch like old NFL films of past Super Bowls, and one of the ones it was clearly taken from like a random NFL network a broadcast, and on the bottom it says Brady 2-0 in Super Bowl so far, and I'm just because that must have been. I'm trying to remember what year that would have been then. Maybe the Eagles year. What year? I'm trying to remember what year that would have been, where Brady would have been like going into his 3rd Super Bowl.
Well, okay, so Rams, Carolina, Eagles were the first
Yeah,
three.
so it would have been the Eagles then. Yeah, it was going into the Eagles game. So that's like, just imagine how infuriating that is. Looking at that, it's like, oh, Brady's 2-0 in his first 2 Super Bowls. Like, interesting. And it's like, he's been to like 9. You know what I mean? It's ungodly ridiculous how many he's been to. It's just,
I think he's 6-3. He's 6-3.
God.
Hey, fuck, man. He beat me twice. He beat
two different generations.
Yes.
Completely different generations of Rams. Like,
2 different versions of Rams.
Yeah, towns, franchises, stadiums.
Yeah, so believe me, I know. And they were both close. He beat the Rams twice. He beat Carolina. He beat Philly. What's the 6th one?
Seattle, right?
Seattle,
Atlanta. Yeah.
He lost to. Oh, wait, that's 7. He lost to. He beat. Which one are we screwing up here? He's 6-3.
So he beat St. Louis and LA, 2 Rams, Carolina, Philly, Seattle, Atlanta, right? Do I have that right? Because he lost both times to the Giants.
He lost 2 to the Giants.
He lost 1 to Philly, right?
He lost 1 to Philly, yeah.
Yeah, Seattle, Atlanta, Rams, Panthers, Eagles.
Yeah, I added a 7th one. I don't know
why
I didn't.
I think it's just 6.
2 Rams, Seattle, Atlanta, Eagles, Panthers. They said 7. What am I doing? Seattle, Atlanta, 2 Rams, Eagles, Panthers. No, that's 6. Okay. Yeah. And Coughlin got him twice.
Yeah, nobody wants to watch him ever again in the fucking Super Bowl.
It's enough. We've had enough. We've had enough of that guy. But the way Rodgers is playing, I mean, that guy's disgusting. So... And he's just so cool and collect. You watch Rodgers, it's like he's just non-fussed by anything. He's in complete control. They've got a great head coach. Their defense is good enough. Great receivers, good running game, great offensive line. So I got nothing against the Packers. I wouldn't mind seeing them win it all. I have nothing against the Chiefs either.
Yeah.
But the Chiefs are going to win Mahomes is going to win a bunch. You know what I mean? I wouldn't mind seeing Rodgers win a second one.
Well, especially after he was like done, you know what I mean? Like they were like, oh, that's the end of him. They drafted a quarterback after last year and stuff. So it'd be cool to see him come back and do it. Royal Rumble is also available on my bookie right now as well.
That's right.
Telling us about that, so you can.
Who the favorites here?
Let's see. Let's click on to see who the favorites of the Royal Rumble is right now. Keith Lee is your favorite right now. That's plus 250.
I don't like that value.
Yeah, I don't like that either. Daniel Bryan at plus 300.
He's not winning.
Big E at plus 300.
The thing is, there's not a real good choice here. I mean, I don't know where you throw
Brock Lesnar at plus 450. So that's.
I mean, if he's
never the worst bet. It's never a terrible bet.
No, it's worth a couple bucks, right? $25.
Edge plus 500. Goldberg plus 500. So those are your favorites. Hulk Hogan plus 10,000.
Yeah.
Vince McMahon plus 10,000 as well. I like the value on that.
Yeah.
Lars Sullivan plus 2,500 if you want to get some good value on Lars Sullivan.
Lars on there, huh?
The Rock is like pretty high up there. He's a plus 1,500. The Rock is higher than Sheamus or Finn Balor to win the Royal Rumble. So.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't have a good feel for the men's Royal Rumble at all.
I don't. Yeah, especially with two brands and the company being as fucking weird as they are, it's impossible to know. Like, because nobody's actually being built up like well enough for me to say, oh yeah, that guy like definitely is on the trajectory of winning it. So, I guess we'll make it a fun Rumble because I don't know who's the Fiend is plus 1,100. So.
Well, can he just set everyone on fire or something with his magic?
Seems like a good idea.
He's dead though, burnt to a crisp.
I do like Triple H at plus 5,000. You can never rule out Triple H.
Never.
It's WrestleMania season. He's in shape, so
I don't know. He didn't look too interested in wrestling Orton a couple weeks ago.
Would you be? Would you be interested in wrestling Randy Orton
at
WrestleMania again?
We got T-shirt trips, and they brawled around the ring a little bit before Alexa Bliss came out to set Randy Orton's face on fire. Now he wears a Destroyer mask.
He's a Destroyer.
He's just as boring as the Destroyer.
Yes,
too.
yes, that was good.
It works.
If you thought that they were going to put 2020 WWE behind them, they have proven in this month already. No, in fact, 2021 we are also going to be terrible and irredeemably bad. So
yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
God.
Let me see if I can get to this fight pit, and we'll tie up our 2-hour opening of NXT.
Well, here, okay, we got some other. Do you want to go? We can go back to Fight Pit if we want. I don't want you. I'm not going to waste time while you're watching Fight Pit.
I don't need to see this Casey Canizaro match.
Oh, see here. Okay, all right, hold on. Let's talk about the FSM50. How about that?
Well, I can get to the Fight Pit. Hold on, they did the weigh-in for the Fight Pit.
It's like a kind of a long match. I'm not going to sit here while you watch
long match,
it. So.
Fight Pit.
It's not short. It's I don't know the exact time on it, but
all right. I don't know. It must be the main event because
it is the main event. Yeah. You got to go all the way to the end.
Oh, here we go. Here's the Fight Pit. Fight Pit rules. Look at these. Oh, look at this. I forgot how awesome.
Yeah, well, the stare down is pretty good. You're actually better off because you're missing the growling woman who's just going, Fight Pit. It's so bad.
Oh, they had something like that, huh? Introducing it. You'll
see her where she goes, it's time for the Fight Pit. And then Vic Joseph goes, Fight Pit. It's just so weird.
They have to
the show is
everything.
So weird. It's so weird. Stop
Why
screaming at me.
Everything.
Stop. Just let it happen. Yeah, it's just Vic Joseph just goes, we'll be right back with the Fight Pit. It's just so weird. It's so strange.
Did we decide whether Tommaso Ciampa was a Fight Pit guy?
I think we added him to the Fight Pit. Well,
did
you know what? No, actually, no. I don't think we did because when we did the Fight Pit guy thing, he was busy in like the look at my hands, why am I so evil type stuff. With Gargano, but he has transformed into a Fight Pit guy over the last few months.
I think he's a Fight Pit guy now. Look at him stalking Thatcher at the top of this structure here, this menacing structure. Look at him pacing. It's coming after him. Let me see how it. Yeah, it is long. This is like an 8-minute overrun.
It's gonna be a while. Yeah.
Yeah, this will be a bad bit. We shouldn't do that. I'm gonna watch it though.
Yes, keep an eye on it. Keep an eye on it for sure, and then we'll discuss the Fight Pit when we're done here. So, all right,
throw him off. He's gonna throw him over the side. I'm into this Fight Pit action. This is good stuff. All right, what are we talking about now?
FSM 500, or you know what? Let's do this. FSM 500, FSM 50. Let's do this. Let's talk about our match of the year ballot. Well, because that'll stall us some time to get you ready. So if you are listening to this, and you are a media member, you have a podcast, you host a podcast, you co-host a podcast, you write for a wrestling website, you have your own wrestling blog, there is time to still request a match of the year ballot, because at this time next week, we're going to do a special show on the Patreon side where we give the top 10 for the match of the year. We give our personal top 10s for match of the year as well. So you have just a few more days. We are closing voting this Sunday, so you have until this weekend to do it. But if you have not already, voicesofwrestling.com/MOTY20-request. Again, it's voicesofwrestling.com/MOTY20-request. And that will get you to a form where you can request a ballot. We're checking those every single day, a few times a day. All you have to do is give us your name, your email, the name of the website or podcast you contribute to, and then you can submit it, and we might pick you. We might not. We have definitely the right to not pick you to vote. But if you run a podcast, if you're on a wrestling website, if you do any of that sort of stuff, you are eligible to vote for this. So media only. Don't let us know that I'm on Twitter and people like me. We don't really give a shit. It's media only. Reporters, reviewers, podcasters, radio shows, blogs, that sort of stuff. So again, voicesofwrestling.com/MOTY20-request. Ballots close this Sunday, so make sure you get it in as soon as possible. Hopefully by the time you listen to this, you can have it in there. And it's going to be a real fun year for Match of the Year. I'm really excited next week to break down the top 10. This is the closest it's ever been for 1 and 2 up to this point. We'll see if anyone pulls away this weekend, but it is every new ballot that comes in. Usually we do that where, and we talk about it when we'll break it down extensively, next week when we talk about the actual top 10. But usually, we put a match in and it's like, all right, the number 5 moved and number 6 moved into the top 5, or this one moved into the top 10. This is every time I put a ballot in, 1 and 2 switch. which is awesome. We have never had. I mean, last year was an absolute blow away with Okada or Shingo and Will Ospreay. Just absolutely blew the competition away. A few years ago, it got pretty close. I think the Shibata Okada year was relatively close, but this is the closest it's ever been. They are. Last I checked, it's like 5 points separating, number 1 and 2. So that is really cool. Number 3 has a way outside chance, but I think it's kind of pulling to the back here a little bit. But the top 10 is completely up for grabs. Top 5 is up for grabs. Number 1 and 2 is up for grabs. It is awesome to kind of watch this as we're getting into the final days for Match of the Year. So your vote could determine the whole thing. Could determine who is the Match of the Year, who it gets into the prestigious top 10, who gets into the top 5. It's important. So if you're listening to this and you have not filled out the ballot or you want a ballot, then again, that is the link to do so. But I'm excited to break it down next week.
At last count, I think there was 33 different matches that got a first place vote, and we're going to shatter the record for number of different promotions represented. Because one thing this year is there has been a real uptick in Joshi.
Yes.
A huge uptick in the Joshi. And a lot of the Australian promotions too. There's been a huge uptick in that as well. So a lot of obscure Joshi and Australian promotions are represented along with the usuals. Although that could be mitigated a bit by
the indies are dead. The U.S. indies have fucking nothing. Just nothing coming. I mean, GCW a little bit from Beyond, but that is it.
And a couple of scattered votes for a few others. Yeah, the American indies are really taking a beating this year. And it's not as if, now look, obviously COVID, but it's not as if the indies that are running don't run a lot. I mean, Game Changer Wrestling runs I feel like they're running a show every day. I know that they're not, but there's very few weekends that go by. They're running their regular schedule and they run constantly, and you had the COVID super spreader event in Indianapolis. What was that called?
The collective weekend. Yeah.
So it's not like the indies aren't out there and running. You don't have your PWGs and your AAWs, and that hurts because PWG obviously and AAW does get a couple matches from those. Evolve closed down, so that's another factor. But it also speaks to what we've been saying. The quality of indies is way down, which is why it's being reflected in Match of the Year. These Game Changer shows aren't known for filling up notebooks, So, yeah, American indies have taken a beating. Joshi's on an uptick. Noah doing much better than usual, which was to be expected, particularly at the high end. So that'll be all wrapped up.
I'm pretty sure Stardom and WWE have the same, WWE main roster and Stardom have the exact same amount of matches voted for it this year right now, which is...
Yeah, WWE main roster is not doing well. And even the matches you would think. One match in particular. We don't like to name them because we don't want to influence things.
Right.
But
people will be upset. There will be a subset of Twitter folks that will be upset about it for sure.
Yeah, it's just not doing well. I mean, what are you looking at it? It's
I was, yeah. I keep waiting for it to kind of go up and move up.
It's not going to.
And what happens is a new WWE ballot with some WWE matches comes in, and I'm like, oh, here we go. All right, this is going to be. And I'm like, oh, it's either 8th or you don't vote for it. Okay, that's. Ugh.
Yeah, I thought that match would really crush it, but it hasn't. The top WWE match came out of left field for me. Now it might not hold. It's very close. It's 2 points separating these two matches, but WWE main roster is not going to get a match in the top 25. I can safely say that. It's just not going to happen. They're too far behind. So now, Walter Ilya. I don't think, spoiler alert, that's doing
right.
Pretty
People
well.
liked that match, yes.
So, that one, and there's an NXT match that's doing okay. So, I don't know, WWE main roster has more than you'd think. And I got, listen to me count.
I'm watching you count too. I'm on the same spreadsheet as you are right now as well. So.
This is the Mike Francesa gimmick.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4.
4, 5, 6, 7. Then he goes a couple under his breath.
Yeah.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12.
He's reading the paper. Yeah, he's got his fucking Daily News or whatever. I don't know what paper he's I'm sure he's got a paper that he likes, but
yeah, probably a Daily News and a Post.
He doesn't strike me as a Post guy. He strikes me as a Daily News guy, but I could be wrong. So.
He probably reads them both. Yeah, you got to read them both. You got to stay on top of things. That's
true. Old school radio guys had both papers.
Yeah, they got to have all the papers. You get all the papers. Me, a 40-year-old, even when I was in high school, would bring the papers to school.
I did too. Yeah. Oh, dude, my study hall. I remember in high school for our study hall, they would always have the papers there, and none of the other kids ever wanted them. Even then, in 2003 and 2004, they were just like, I'd rather just stare at the wall or take a nap. I was like, boom, let's see the sports section. Let's go. Or because
it with me all day long.
Yeah. Well, because I would read it at home, and I didn't want to take it. My dad didn't want me to take it because he wanted to read it when he came home, and he thought I was going to lose it. So I would lead off. I'd stop on page 4 of the Chicago Tribune, and then pick it up at study hall and know exactly where I was. And it's just like, yeah, that's the way I was. So the good old days. I don't read enough these days. I need to read more. So
I'd carry that North Star Ledger sports page around in school. People are like, what do you got the paper for? I'm like, I got the paper. You got to read the papers, I got to go get the papers. Get the papers. Jimmy 2 times. Good fellas. 15 WWE main roster matches right now. So, I don't know how that compares to other years, but the point is none of them are doing well. A lot of those matches have 1 vote. More than half of them.
Yeah.
Stardom. 8.
9.
Also 15. So
I said that. I just got done saying that.
Well, I was just confirming.
Okay, that's fine.
Jeez, I'm not arguing with you. I'm just confirming. There's another promotion that was crushing it. Unexpected.
I mean, Noah is on the precipice of 3 top 10 matches potentially.
Yeah.
I mean, that is 3 top 10s, I think 7 top 50s, if I remember correctly, which is I never would have in a million years. I mean, I like Noah this year, but Jesus, I had no idea it'd do that well. Yeah, how many are in that top 50?
Yeah, no, we had a year not that long ago where Noah only had they had 10 matches, but it was only because one person voted for all 10.
Yes, who you might know. I mean, honestly, if you're a Twitter, if you're a Twitter follower, you might know who that would be. But yes, it was somebody who only tweets about Noah and only talks about Noah. So
right, which is fine.
Yeah, we
want everybody, but yeah, Noah's just absolutely crushing it at the top for the NWA with 4 matches. So far. Actually, I don't think that's true. I think you have one listed twice.
We'll talk about that. Found an error. That's all right. That'll happen. So we'll fix it.
Yeah. I don't think those 2 people wrestled twice. So this is because people send you the wrong dates and then you put you know what I mean? And you're just copying and pasting and then we got to go over it and catch them. But, yeah, it's match here. This Fight Pit, I got to tell you, it's good.
Mm-hmm.
This is not the Matt Riddle, Tim Thatcher.
It's not.
Fight.
It's not. It's fine. It's good. I like it. It's not like we were screaming about how awesome that match was.
How's Fight Pit doing? I don't think it's doing well in the poll.
Oh yeah, Jesus.
I don't think it has a single vote yet. Let me see.
Oh man, I might have to vote for it there. It's
on my short list.
Yeah, it does not have a single vote. Wow.
And Fight Pit getting shut out.
Damn.
What can I bump from mine?
You gotta get the Fight Pit in there.
Get some dopey Hiromu match out of here and get the Fight Pit on there, right? Yeah, I mean, this is okay. This is not the greatest Fight Pit. Let's do this FSM. We'll see. Rich said it's the FSM 500.
Yeah, that's going to be tough. So we're going to break down all 500 wrestlers.
We're going to break down every one of them. So let's start with number 500.
500. Billy Starks.
Shorty G. Yeah, let's do it. What'd you think of his year? No, it's the FSM 50, of course, which the tradition has continued. Voices of Wrestling hosts this list. It's a very important list since 2000, what year? 14?
So I was able to go back. There was a full 50 all the way back in 14 was the first year they did a full 50, and they did like a big list. Like, there was some sporadic lists in 13 and 12 or whatever, but yeah, 14 to 2020 is the official list of 50.
What? So 2014.
2014, yes.
Okay, is when okay.
I just mean 2014 till today is the official 50, because there was 1 year where they did 30 or some shit like that, but 2014 it got established as the FSM50 and has carried on since then.
Yeah, so it's a secret panel of voters,
Mm-hmm.
and this is all put together by, of course, Alan.
I don't even know who voted for it. That's not true. I do, but
you're lying. You know every voter.
They don't even tell me who voted for it. So.
You know every voter. It's a secret panel of voters, many of which were the original voters when the magazine existed. There are initials next to the blurbs, so if you want to play detective and try to figure out who the voters might be, I think some of them are fairly obvious, especially with what the content of the blurbs contain. But, some of them I don't think anyone would ever figure out. They're tricky. You're just working with 2 letters here. But it's a panel of 7, and Alan helps put it together, and it's the original team that put together the original FSM50s. It's just the magazine, unfortunately, doesn't exist anymore, and we host the list on voicesofwrestling.com now. So the article's up with the full listing. Who put together them statistics at the bottom of the year?
That was myself and Jeremy Sexton as well from the website. So Brian gave me a list of Brian Elliott, the former editor of Fighting Spirit, gave me like a Word doc a few years ago that had all the rankings on there. So it was a labor of love. I did a lot of the work a few years ago, and then this year was like, oh shit, I need to actually finally do this. So finally put it together. So now you can actually look at the historical all the way from 2020 to 2014, where every wrestler ranked at any point during the year as well. And interesting little nugget here: 3 guys. I wonder if you can predict this. I don't know if you've actually looked at it. 3 guys have appeared on every single one of these FSM 50 ballots from 2014 to 2020.
Can I take a shot at it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okada, obviously.
Okada is one of them, yes.
24. Tanahashi has to be.
Tanahashi is one of them. You got 2.
So the third one's probably the trickiest one. Every year since 2014. So they have to have been a super relevant top-level star since 2014 and been on every list. Okay, this is not my official pick, but I'm thinking Shingo.
Shingo is off by 1 year, actually.
Oh, gotta be Big Tom-ish.
It is Big Tom-ish. Tomohiro Ishii. He was there it is. He was 5th in 2014, 16th in 15, 15th in 2016, then 4, 8, 6, and then this year he was 5. So he has had a miraculous run there of 4 top 10 finishes, another top 15 finish, and then one just outside of the top 15 there at 16. So he is a miraculous run for Big Tom-ish. So good for him.
Shingo missed a year?
Shingo missed, I don't know. Yeah, I wasn't voting then, so you can't get mad at me, but he missed in 2014.
2014. Let me think about Well, that was a year before his great title run. Wasn't that 15? Where he had that great title run against the old guys?
I mean, I just want to say, since I've been voting for him, he's finished 3rd and 2nd. So I'm just saying.
Wait a minute. You're one of the secret voters.
Oh, so Jesus, no. I help. I help.
What about?
Are you one of the voters? I forgot to ask.
I will never reveal that information. What about Kota Ibushi?
He did miss a year. I think that was his year where he was just like fucking around. Remember that year where he was just wrestling dummies for a year? I think that was that year that he missed. So
what about? Okay, all right. Oh, he may have missed like 14. What about Will Ospreay?
Yeah, Will. I think he missed 14 because he was still just a yup. Oh, jeez, shitty job out of me. 4 people, Joe, finished in the top 50 every year since the list has been created.
Ospreay or
it's Will. He got in there at 50 and 20. He just made the cut in 2014 and then has been top 20 since then. So
2014, that was the year of that Matt Sydal feud in Rev Pro, I believe. Yeah. Which put him on the map, really. Yeah, and obviously a mainstay since then. Universal Consensus #1 last year, in fact. I think #7 this year. So, yeah, Shingo missed by a year. Okay, I'm looking at it now that we're done guessing. Yeah, you're right. Ibushi missed 1 year. Weird. I guess he was just goofing off that year and not really wrestling much. You know what's sad? There would have been a 5th guy, but Daisuke Sekimoto.
I know, he stunk this year. Especially with this panel. Like, imagine how bad he had to be for this panel, which you and I.
Well, Rich, I'm not familiar with the panel.
Yes,
so
but the panel that hypothetically voted for Daisuke Sakamoto 10th last year, 8th a few years ago, 19th. That just This hypothetical panel that clearly enjoys Daisuke Sakamoto could not even bring themselves to vote for him in this year's list, which is tragic.
Yeah, Naito missed 1 year. He's another one. Young Bucks missed 1 year.
Yeah, that seems ridiculous. But last year, somehow.
Last year.
I don't know how that happened. Yeah,
Well, AEW was kind of just getting off the ground.
Oh, that's true. Like half the year, they weren't really quite. Yeah, okay.
I kind of get it. Yeah, that kind of makes sense. So, and Zack Sabre Jr. this year missed for the first time. That's another one. And he had never finished lower than 14th. How about that? So, that's all attached to the article, though, if people want to look at that. The history of the FSM50. So, let's talk about this year's a little. We're not going to break down every person, obviously.
Oh.
That would take up the rest of the show. We'll blow through it, though. Dragon Dia, number 50. The reviewer here with, I don't know, this CL did all of the Dragongate blurbs. I don't know who that might be.
Scratching my chin right now, wondering, CL Dragongate.
CL called him the most exciting wrestler in the entire world. I don't know about
reel
that.
it in, CL. I don't know about that. I like Dragon Dia, but let's reel it in there, pal. So
you got Julia at 49, and then I think 48's interesting. Chango and Kaiji Tomato.
Yeah, if I had a vote, I would have definitely put them pretty high. So I'm glad they made it on there. So I already revealed I have a vote. So I forgot that I did that. Yes, I voted for Chango and Kaiji Tomato.
So how it works is the 7 panelists submit their list, and then the curator puts it all together. There's math involved, but it's not strictly off the math. The curator then moves some things around as they see fit, and it's presented back to the panel, and then it's presented back. You're basically trying to get like 8 or 9 people to agree on things, because you've got the panel, you've got the curator. Brian Elliott's still involved. How can he not be? It's the FSM50. So it's a tricky deal. Do I think the list is perfect? I don't. Do I think that they're good snapshots of a given year and important to continue? Yes, I do, which is why I pitched hosting them at Voices of Wrestling even when the magazine went down. I think it's important to have lists like this to look back on historically. So that's kind of the idea. And we're going to look back in 10 years and say, hey, remember when Chango and Kaiji Tomato had that great tag run in 2AW in 2020? And they made the top 50 list of top 50 wrestlers in the world. So, look, we spent a lot of our summer talking about their matches. So I don't think it's a vanity pick or anything. I think it was well earned. 47 was Ricky Starks getting on the list. And no, if you look at the initials,
I was going to say, it doesn't say JL, believe it or not.
This wasn't, I didn't, he earned it. He earned his way on. This wasn't, Joe Lanza saying put Ricky Starks on the list. There are people that want him on the list. And I think what's interesting about his blurb written by the mysterious AC is that it says he is maybe the best TV wrestler in the business today. And, that's an interesting point because he is a really good television wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
He sells, he bumps, he holds tag matches together.
He talks, he looks like $1 million. He comes out looking good all the time. Yeah, it's.
So I think it's important when we put together a list like this that we recognize not just the guys that are filling up the notebooks and the main events of the Tokyo Dome, but wrestlers like Ricky Starks, who's such a great television wrestler, tag teams like Chango and Taiji Tomato. So you want to represent all of pro wrestling. Momo Watanabe, Daisei Hashimoto, as we go through, I had him on my 50. I've been a huge critic of his, but he had a big year. He had a really big, and you know what worked in Daisei Hashimoto?
Wait, you voted? You were one of the 7?
Oh, I mean, my hypothetical.
Well, now we got 2. Okay, so we got 2. We know you and me. Okay, that's good. We're almost there.
Can't believe I said that.
Once we figure out who the CL cat is, we might be able to really break this thing open. So
AC, another big mystery. I honest to God think the others are hard to figure out though. So not that I'm confirming or denying.
Yeah, I don't think anybody would be able to get JB.
No, I mean, and
I even had to do a double take at JG, even though I knew who it was, but I was like, JG, oh, right. But I was like, some people are going to have some trouble with that one. So
because they're too open-ended.
Right. SF, I mean, geez, that's anybody,
Yeah. So anyway, Daichi Hashimoto, who, if I were to be a panelist, would have
right. Hypothetically.
I mean, I think what worked to his advantage was a lot of his great title defenses were when nobody was running except for Big Japan. Because remember, Big Japan was just, nope, we got to run. We have to run or we're going to go out of business. So he had all that attention to himself, and I think people recognized the great year that he had because of that. ACH, the reinvented ACH at 44. You could stop me at any time if you want to comment on any of these. 43 was Kazusuda Higuchi. 42, the only WWE representative in the top 50, Finn Balor. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I kind of found it. I mean, it's going to be a lot of reaction when we say that, but yeah, I mean, I can't say it's not deserved given the year they had, but it's just shocking. I mean, especially, and yeah, the 7 hypothetical people that voted aren't really, your biggest WWE fans, but it was hard to justify any of the people as well, which I think was probably the more important or most shocking thing, is that even when it was like, all right, guys, we probably, should vote for a few. It was like, well, but who? We had people say, hey, I haven't watched much WWE this year. I haven't, what should I watch? And the people that do watch it were like, so it's like, it's not, I think it's deserved. I mean, that there's only one of them, but yeah, it's still a shock.
Yeah, I mean, he really had a lot of great high-end matches. People forget about that Ilya Dragunov match on the Worlds Collide show, which was great. The Kyle O'Reilly match, obviously. The Gargano match. So he deserves it. It's just, man, one WWE wrestler. It's crazy. Kenta was 41. Very poorly edited blurb. I don't know who wrote that blurb, but it was definitely poorly edited. There's a mistake.
Jerry Lynn, I guess, is maybe one of the...
Maybe Mr. JL right in that one. I'm annoyed because I'm noticing that it's poorly edited.
We could have... I mean, you have editing. I think you have editing privileges, so...
I don't mess with the WordPress anymore because you would get mad at me because the SEO wasn't up to your standards. So...
Well, you can change Jerry Lynn's right up here on Kenta if you'd like, so...
Well, the word... The fence is missing after never title, and it's annoying me looking at it. But that's
a great never title. Oh yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't read well. Yuya Aoyoki, who many people think finished too low at 40, he really did have a great year. Shotaro Ashino, of course, Masaki Mochizuki, Mayu Iwatani, Taichi at 36, big year for Taichi. Konosuke Takashita at 35. We've got mid-level junior El Desperado came in at 34. Kaito Kiyomiya at 33, Jay White, Masato Tanaka, Ben K, Pac, Minoru Suzuki.
I love Masato Tanaka up there as well. That's awesome. So
still, and we're going to talk about.
We'll talk about it a bit. Yeah, he's still incredible. He's just a great wrestler. He already in 2021 is already great. So another year to add to Masato Tanaka's great run.
Yeah, incredible after all these years that he's still popping up on things like this. Ray Phoenix, Sho, Tetsuya Endo, Kano. Darby Allin, Eita, a lot of Dragon Gate. Do you think Dragon Gate was overrepresented? A lot of
I
Dragon
do.
Gate.
Yeah, I kind of do. And I love Dragon Gate, but I think it was way, way overrepresented on this poll. And that's to be, definitely. But I think like Naruki Doi. I like Naruki Doi a lot, but number 12, I don't know if Naruki Doi should be number 12. It might be a little bit high. But yeah, there's a lot of Dragon Gate on this. Which, and again, they've had a good year. They deserve it, but they did seem a little overrepresented this year.
Yuji Okabayashi, KZ, Adam Page, Tanahashi finished 18th. Guy just never stops. Naito was 17th.
Now, do you think? Did you think that was kind of interesting? That's the one that I circled. That Naito at 17. I could see people getting.
This whole run, Tanahashi, Naito, Miyahara. Typically, you're going to find those guys higher, right? But look at who's above them, and you have to make a case for who they belong above. I mean, you can't just say these guys are too low.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's like in sports when someone makes an all-star, gets snubbed from an all-star team. How can they leave so-and-so off? Well, you got to take someone off.
Right, you got to take them off. I mean, the way that I look at it, you got Miyahara there. Segura, I don't know that I would take him off for any of those three. Kaito Ishida, I like Ishida a lot, but I might bump him back a little bit to have those guys
I
move
would
up a little bit.
definitely bump Kaito Ishida. I wouldn't even have him in my top 50.
Yeah, Cody, I think a lot of people might laugh that Cody's higher than Naito or Cody's higher than Kento Miyahara or whatever, but Cody's had a fucking great year when you look at it. And this RK guy that wrote the write-up, I mean, he might have a good case here that he makes. But yeah, when you really look at what he did prior to COVID and then what he did after COVID as well, it took a little bit to get going. But yeah, I mean, you got the Brody match, the Eddie Kingston match. I mean, that stuff that he did with the TNT title was like really, really great stuff. He made so many stars this year, developed so many guys for that roster. So I don't know that I can bump him out. On Naruki Doi, I might bump him slightly. Nakajima would be an interesting one, but again, that's tough. Like, he had a really, really good year. And then you get to that top 10 and I mean, I don't know.
Top 10's a top 10.
Top 10. Yeah, I don't know about Okada at 8. I may have bumped him back a little bit. Not really fully fault of his own, but obviously, doing half the year with Yujiro will do that.
I think Okada had a better year than Miyahara. I liked Okada's G1 better than Naito's G1. I know some would disagree. And he had the 2 great matches at Wrestle Kingdom. I guess you could make an argument for Naito over Okada, but those Evil matches left such a bad taste in my mouth. And that was really no fault of Naito. But at the same time, Okada wasn't doing anything during that period either.
Right. And as far as the top 7, that's fucking ironclad. I'm not moving any of those guys out of that top 7.
No, none of those 3 had a better year than the top 7. No, I agree. So where you run into trouble is from 8 to 14. I would get Ishida out of there myself. I'd probably get Segura out of there too, because outside of the one match against Go, I don't think he had a great year. I think those 3 guys had a better year than Segura.
Yeah, he's a tough one because I love his work so much. But you're right that like there's high end matches that he was in, like 1 or 2 high end matches. One obviously real high end match, but yeah, I mean I could definitely I could probably
Tanahashi and Naito definitely had better years than Takashi Segura.
Yes. Yeah, because they together had one match that was almost as good as any Segura match of the year, and then they also, went and did a bunch of... Yeah, they Miyahara, I'd have to really think about Miyahara over Segura, but I would definitely... I think I might a little bit more easily put Tanahashi and Naito above Segura.
Miyahara slept walk through most of the year, but he had that Carnival final against Zeus, and early in the year when he was Triple Crown champ where he was himself. So I think he's perfectly placed, like in, the teens. He didn't have one of his typical top 10, top 5 years. But I would definitely put Tanahashi and Naito over Segura, and probably Miyahara too. I'd put all of them ahead of Ishida. Here's the thing with Cody, and I talked about this with Ricky Starks. He had a great year. This guy... The Eddie Kingston and Ricky Starks matches earned 2 people jobs. Then you have the Brody Lee feud, where he did that selfless 3-minute job for Brody Lee, and then the great dog collar match. The Wardlaw cage match was in February. That was this year, believe it or not. The Jungle Boy match. He helped make stars and literally get people jobs this year, and was probably the best television wrestler in the world in 2020. I have no problem with him being that high on the list.
Yeah, no. I'm
a great year.
I would have probably put him higher. I don't even remember where I put him on my list, but yeah, I think, yeah, definitely. And yeah, the Wardlow thing. People forget that was this year. Like
and the Darby Allin,
New Year's Day against Darby Allin. Again, that was that year. I mean, yes, 2020 felt like it was 19 months long, and it did. But yeah, Darby Allin on New Year's Day, Wardlow in February. That was all building up to Blood and Guts, which would have probably been fucking incredible as well. That didn't happen. So then obviously things had to kind of slow down for a little bit. But then once he became the TNT champion, yeah, it's a fucking, another Darby match. Eddie, Brody, Jungle Boy. I mean, there's so many then. Ricky Starks. There's so many then that came and went that were just really, really great matches. So yeah, he was an easy pick for me.
Cody was the most interesting champion of 2020.
Yeah. Oh, no, yeah. I think that, yeah, I'd be safe in saying that.
I mean, it's either him or Go. Who else would even be in competition for that? For most interesting champion of the year, worldwide wrestling. It's Cody or Go Shiozaki.
I mean, that TNT stuff was appointment viewing, especially when he was doing like the, hey, come step up, like open challenge stuff. That stuff was great.
Yeah. Incredible. And delivered every time. And just star-making matches, whether it was Darby Allin, Ricky Starks, Eddie Kingston, Brody Lee. You go right down the line. Wardlow.
Also Warhorse, but Warhorse also was there. But I
Jungle
like,
Boy.
I like that aspect where sometimes there were guys that didn't land or whatever, but it was just like, all right, let's see, let's go. Bring your best, let's go. And yeah, you made 2 stars and got 2 guys contracts out of it. And then, along the way, made Jungle Boy, made, Darby Allin even better. I mean, yeah, great year. And I like the MJF match too at Revolution. I know a lot of people didn't. I thought it was great.
And he just comes across like a major star. He is a major star. So there's more that goes into this besides just adding up the stars on your spreadsheets.
Yeah, right.
So to me, more than deserved. I don't think Doi had a better year than those guys. I know he had the great match against KZ. And then we kind of talked about some of the others. Nakajima, Moxley, Bucks, Okada. You can make arguments. The top 7, though, I think is etched in stone. I wouldn't move any of these guys out of the top 7. Will Ospreay, who was number 1 the year before, Ibushi, Ishii, Omega, Shingo, Hiromu, and Go Shiozaki, number 1. How about Go Shiozaki at number 1?
I was kind of, I mean, not that I'm not like against it. I think he absolutely belongs, but it was just like, reading it, I was scrolling down, I was like, man, who's number 1? I was looking at these Murderers Row. I'm like, Will 7, okay, whatever. Kota Ibushi 6, all right. Ishii 5, Omega 4, Shingo 3, and I'm thinking, man, who's number 1? And I get to Hiromu, and I'm like, Hiromu 2, Go Shiozaki, and I was like, nah, I mean, he doesn't not deserve it. I mean, he absolutely is. It's just wild though, especially at this, where he is in his life right now, and especially looking at the history of Go Shiozaki in this. He wasn't ranked last year at all. He went from 0 N/A to 1.
I mean, he was a guy who was thought of as a can't miss prospect for Noah back in the day, and then he's had a snake bit career. And this year it all came together for him. And he'll win other awards for sure when award season hits, which should be soon. But yeah, I mean, it's a year where it finally all came together for Go Shiozaki, and he was a compelling champion, and he was a great champion, and he had a bunch of great matches. You look at our match of the year balloting, you mentioned it earlier; those are all Go Shiozaki matches that are threatening at the top. Everyone he got in there with, so I don't have a problem with it at all. So I think it's well earned, and it's a guy who, has a little bit. It took him a little bit longer, but I think he's finally fully realized what people thought he could be.
Mm-hmm.
So,
he finally feels like himself, which is an important thing, I think, with Go Shiozaki, is there was so many different periods where he felt like he was trying to be another guy. Obviously, the Kensuke Sasaki thing, and then it felt like he was trying to be this guy and trying to be that guy and then it finally was just like, hey, it's just fucking Go Shiozaki. Like, he is what he is now, and he's pretty damn great at what he is. But yeah, it's like the pretense is kind of gone, and he feels for the first time, I think so, for the first time in his career, he just feels like a guy who feels confident in his own body, and he never felt like that at any point in his career.
No, and he feels like too he's carrying a promotion on his back, and again, I think all of these things are factors. We just talked about Cody and all of the different kinds of reasons why he's well earned his spot at 13. Well, it really felt like this guy carried a promotion on his back all year, especially as the year got moving. So, a well-earned number 1. He wasn't, on my hypothetical list, if I would have been a contributor, he was number 3 on my list, but I definitely considered him for number 1. I would have hypothetically considered 3 people for number 1, and he was one of them. So, I had Will Ospreay, Kenny Omega, and Go Shiozaki 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, and again, speaking to Go, when we were talking about high level matches and putting a company on his back, I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Noah matches right now that are all in the top 50, all have Go Shiozaki in it.
Yeah.
And it's not one person voting for it. I mean, that's one match that's 30. One of it appears on 30% of all ballots, 20% of all ballots, 10% of all ballots. It's not like, a few people putting them first and then that's pumping it all up. Like they're on a lot of ballots. So yeah, it's as much of a star making, year that you could have. I mean, he brought Noah, at least in our little corner of the internet wrestling world or whatever, he brought that up to Noah is one of the more prominent promotions in this entire thing right now, and it's because of him.
Yeah. Who do you think was the biggest snub?
Well, some people are gonna, obviously the one that we were all worried about is Sasha Banks not appearing on the list and what people would say about that.
She got votes.
Yeah.
Sasha Banks received votes. She just didn't end up in the final 50. Did end up in the honorable mentions. There were four WWE wrestlers in the honorable mentions that just missed. It was Drew McIntyre, Walter, Sasha Banks.
I think it's just those three. I believe it's just those three, if I remember correctly.
And all of them, could have easily been on the list. In fact, I had Walter on my list for sure. I may have had Banks. I can't remember. I didn't have Drew. But, it just only shook out with Balor. But who do you think, Rich Craich, who was highest on your list who didn't make the final list?
I think the top guy I had, I'm trying to remember. I'm going through my list right now to see who I had. I think Sabre was one that I definitely voted for and was surprised that he didn't make it whatsoever. And I'm not even talking about, I'm not even a big Dangerous Tekkers guy, but the match with Will and Rev Pro was good. The single stuff was all pretty good with him. The other guy now I'm trying to remember where I voted for him, but I probably should have voted him much higher than I probably did, was Phoenix. So the two that I had were Phoenix and Zack Sabre Jr. to me were big surprises.
Phoenix is on the list though, right? Phoenix is number.
I guess I have to update the spreadsheet because it shows that he's not on the spreadsheet. So there you go.
Phoenix is 27.
There we go. Okay. Well, the spreadsheet is wrong. So never mind. Always under Ray. Oh, Jesus.
It's under Ray Phoenix.
Yeah, I see the problem. Okay.
That's the. Yeah, no, he's on the list.
Okay, because there we go. I was looking at the list and being like, man, Ray Phoenix didn't make it? That's ridiculous. Okay.
Well, then this is especially boring because mine was also Zack Sabre Jr. I had him 21st on my list, and he didn't make the final 50. We must have been the only two people who voted for him.
I guess, yeah, because
I had him, pretty 21's pretty high. I had Walter. I thought Walter, even though he only had 12 matches hit tape, look at them. You've got the Ilya Dragunov match. Right. You've got the 8-man tag at Worlds Collide. There were a couple others too. I think whoever wrote that brilliant blurb laid out all of the Walter matches that, what was the other one? I guess those were the only two they listed. But, his hit rate was very good. Like every time he made TV or made tape, his matches were very good. The other honorable mention, I think there was another one, was there's a couple more. Yukio Sakaguchi and SB Kento. So I don't know if SB Kento is ready for a list like this in 20.
No.
Let him earn his keep. So
the CL guy, I don't know.
It's a tough list. Yeah. It's a tough list. But yeah, that's the FSM50. I think I'm pleased with how it came out on the top end. Look, when you have that many people, 9 different people trying to agree on something, no one's going to be totally happy with it because you all have your own opinions. But overall, I think it's another very good snapshot of the year. I think the list always works itself out, even if, I'm going to personally disagree with some of it. As long as I don't have any major gripes, then I'm okay with it. And I think the most important thing is to get that top 10 or so correct.
Yeah. Is there do you want to move Mayu Iwatani up from 32 to 15 or so? Yeah, I got it, whatever. But that's all fringe stuff. You know what I mean? Like that, as long as you nail that top 10 and top 5 and the number 1 or whatever, I think that's all that really, really matters is just don't have an egregious number 1. Don't have an egregious top 10. All those people need to belong, and they absolutely do. And then, what you do on the fringes is whatever. I mean, yeah, if you want to move somebody up from 28 to 12, then okay, fine, whatever. But you got to nail that top 10. You got to nail the number 1. And very often the PWI 500 does not do that, and it kind of becomes a laughing stock when it seems kind of lazily put together, and it's Sasha's number 1, and it's like, come on, what are you doing? There's no way. But this one, it works a little bit. I think as long as you nail that top 10, and I think we or the 7 brave men and women did do that, I believe. So
I can't speak to Iwatani. I didn't see a single match, so I have no opinion. The people who seem to have the biggest gripes, and there weren't really a lot, were Joshi fans with Iwatani. So that seems to be, at least in the Joshi world, too low. And Cubs fan came after us for having came after FSM, not us, for the lack of lucha wrestlers this year, and historically really on the list. Now, lucha always gets screwed in anything that's
every
involved.
list. Yeah. I mean, yeah, maybe, probably, but
this year in particular, I mean, lucha wasn't good.
No, I mean, yeah, I will readily admit that I watched less lucha this year than I probably ever, to be honest, ever in this capacity, running this website or whatever. I watched Triple Mania, I watched that Lucha Fighter stuff, and that I think is it. I think that's all I watched.
I mean, lucha's not doing great in the match of the year poll. I mean, CMLL was like non-existent on the year, and really, from what I understand, not putting in a ton of effort, to the point I hand-waved it just based on what friends of ours had to say. AAA, I mean, they went long periods without running in between Lucha Fighter and then Triple Mania, and I liked Triple Mania a lot. But yeah, the indies, because of the COVID situation, were way down, just not running. So, I mean, it was a rough year in Mexico, so I can totally see why there were no full-time lucha wrestlers that cracked the list this year. Because Japan never stopped running. U.S. television wrestling never stopped running. U.S. indies just kept going. It's the lucha seemed to have a lot of trouble, more than the rest of the world did, with the exception of Europe, which completely shut down. And as a result, there's no strictly European wrestlers on the list this year either, when normally, because FSM is a European-based magazine, there would always be a few.
Yeah, I that was something I really noted is, yeah, your
progress wrestlers.
Right, they're just non-existent whatsoever on this list, yeah.
Because it's just Europe shut down after February. So there was just nowhere to turn with that. Like a guy like Walter, I mean, if he had supplemented his NXT UK stuff with his usual output of European wrestling, he would have been a lock. You know what I mean? So I thought the two areas that suffered were Mexico and Europe, just because COVID precluded a lot of those people from wrestling a lot. So I think that was the issue there. Anyway, that's the FSM 50.
So you can check that out again, FSM50, voiceswrestling.com. It's on the sidebar as well, so you can look up FSM50 on our search. It's up there pretty high, but you can also just go to any part of the website and go to the side. You'll see a picture of Go Shiozaki, and it says FSM50 on it. So that is how you can do that. So that's that. Projects, a lot of projects going on. We've had Match of the Year. We had the book is all wrapped up and done. We got Match of the Year coming up next week. FSM50 this week. It's a busy time, and then things kind of chill, I guess, for a little bit around these parts. But let's talk. So, do you any reaction to the Fight Pit, or are we done? Is that Fight Pit 2 coverage?
No, it was okay. I mean, I'm going to watch it again with full attention.
I feel bad because people were really excited. But see, I watched with full attention. People were really. I saw last night, people were like, Fight Pit, talk about Fight Pit. Gotta watch Fight Pit. And I was like, all right, Joe, don't cover it on the TV reviews. I'll watch Fight Pit. We can talk about it on the flagship. So I sat down, I got ready, and it's fine.
Got to commit to the bit, Rich. You got to go crazy about this match you didn't love. No, from what I saw, it was borderline Notebook, so I want to give it an honest watch. But I didn't pay close enough.
It didn't feel. The problem is that first one felt like transformative. The Riddle versus Thatcher was fucking incredible. That was just like, in the sea of terrible wrestling going on, it was just this fucking phoenix that rose, and it was just just two dudes just beating the fuck out of each other. This one had a little bit too much, like, I don't know. Champ was kind of, he kind of lays it on a little too thick. I just want two dudes beating the fuck out of each other, and that's what Riddle and Thatcher did. Ciampa, he doesn't do that as much, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But they're, as you saw at the end, they are now a team. One of a rare. They used to be fighting, and now they're a team. Joe, can they coexist? We'll find out this week on the Dusty Rhodes Classic.
Very unique storyline.
Two of them. I mean, there are like 10 teams on Raw, 7 on SmackDown, and now 4 on NXT, including 2 on that show alone that are like uneasy partners. Hell, on NXT alone, you had Malcolm Bivens and his new client, Russ Taylor. What is he? Russ Tyler or Tyler Rust or whatever?
Rusty Tyler.
Yeah. So they're like already fighting. He's like, Russ Taylor's like, oh, I'm going to take this match with Bronson Reed. And Malcolm's like, oh, I don't think that's a good idea. And he gets his ass kicked. And Malcolm's like, see, I told you. And they're like, oh, and they're like fighting already. They just started. They just started. Like, they know no other stories. They know no other stories.
It's the only story they know how to
tell. They
have
1,000 writers, 27 ex-wrestlers back there, and all they can think of, what if they become partners, but they're kind of unsure of one another? Jesus.
I got to tell you, too, a wrestler not taking the advice from his manager would be a pretty cool story if they weren't doing 1,000 other stories that were exactly the same. So it's like or a tag team that doesn't get along. Like if you did it once every 5 years instead of once every 5 months, then maybe it'd be a cool story. But yeah, they totally do overdo that. We have to get to Impact Hard to Kill because there's lots to unpack there. How much of that show did you watch?
I unfortunately saw all of it. So I saw every minute of Impact Hard to Kill.
That's the answer I was looking for, because I have to piss. So you are going to talk everybody through. I jumped into this show at the X Division title 3-way.
Okay, that's fine.
So I will be you take us through the first half of the show.
Okay, all right.
And I will jump in and go ahead, Rich.
Oh boy, okay. So the only problem though is 2 of the matches were pretty shitty and not fun shitty, just kind of shitty. But the opener was Decay. It was Crazy Steve and Rosemary defeating the team of Caleb with a K and Tennille Dashwood. This match went 8 minutes and 55 seconds. I actually kind of like this. It wasn't good in the sense of like good. Like sit down and watch a match and it's going to be, you're like, oh man, the work was incredible or that. But it was like it had the right comedy spots at the right time. It had the right bullshit at the right time. The Caleb with a K gimmick and the Tennille Dashwood gimmick, I think it's kind of fun and it's kind of endearing and it's original. There was one spot where Caleb was doing he was going to do something from the top rope and Tennille wanted him to stop so that she could take a picture of it. And that shit's great. Like it's relatable. It's kind of a modern story that's being told where you got Tennille, this like, Instagram influencer who just gets her picture taken all over the time. And then Caleb, her photographer, and they're just stopping to take photos. Like it was really, really cool stuff with them. And yeah, the Crazy Steve Rosemary stuff, I could kind of take or leave most of the time, but in this case I think it worked off pretty well with the Caleb with the K and Tennille Dashwood. So is it a good bell-to-bell match? No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Is it worth checking out at least? Is it worth maybe kind of jumping into and just watching for 9 minutes? I think so. I really do. And I did not expect to say, oh yeah, Tennille Dashwood and Caleb with a K versus Rosemary and Crazy Steve was going to be a really good or a match that I would actually enjoy, but I did, and it had my hopes up that, hey, Hard to Kill is going to be a pretty fun show. I can't wait. It's not exactly how things went. Anyway, we had old school rules.
I thought we'd be up to the X Division title match already.
No, I went into it like at a very. I'm telling you,
had a lot to. No, I heard you from the toilet. You had
watch
a lot
this match.
to say.
Watch
about
it.
That.
It's kind of fun. It's a really fun match. I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
This Caleb with a K and Tennille Dash, I love this act.
It's a good act. Yeah, I have to admit, I'm somewhat ironically into that act
because they're enough dorky, but like I said, it's relatable dorkiness. Because like I buy that Tennille Dashwood would like stop in the middle of a match to take a selfie. Like we know people like that. Like I know people that do that. Are in the middle of a street taking a selfie for some fucking reason because they. So no, I like the act. It's pretty good. And Crazy Steve and Rosemary were okay. Don't worry, I have very little to say about the next 2 matches, so we can blow by those pretty quickly. Old school rules: Eric Young, Joe Doring, and Diener versus Tommy Dreamer, Rhino, and Cousin Jake. You expecting and getting excited about Joe Doring in a wrestling ring? He looks.
So how did he look?
He's in okay shape. He's not in as good a shape as he was when he kind of debuted and initially, he like ripped his shirt off and he looked like, pretty good. He looks like he's hurting, man. I don't know. I don't think you're not getting Joe Doring Triple Crown champion at any point in Impact. I have no idea what's going on. But I mean, it was okay, but it was just a bunch of plunder. And it's like, dude, my fucking tolerance for guys hitting each other with shit is at an all-time low, especially in 2020 where people have just relied on that so much of, hey, there's no crowd, so let's hit each other with trash cans and kendo sticks and shit. So I don't know. It was okay, but was pretty wild is that Eric Young got the pin on Cousin Jake, which I don't know if I would I don't know if I'd be doing that. I might pin, Rhino or Tommy Dreamer, but if you gotta pin your, up and coming young wrestler, then I guess you gotta do that. So there you go. Fire and Flava, Kira Hogan and Tasha Steelz defeat Havoc and Nevaeh. I mean, what do you think this match was? I mean,
I can picture it in my head.
It was fucking atrocious. So, pretty bad. This is real bad. This is an ominous start to the return of the Knockouts Tag Team titles, which I think has been gone since Eric Young and ODB had them. Right? Am I correct in that? Because remember they had them for like 3 years and they just gave up with them because They put him on them because it was funny because Eric Young's a guy and he had the Knockouts title, and then they just forgot about it and didn't do much. So
let me pull it up and see the storied history.
I don't know if it may have changed hands somewhere in between there. I forget, but I know that there wasn't many champions after those two. So even though it was a cool belt for a while.
Well, the belt overall has a 2.47 rating on Cage Match. You are correct that they were the last champions, and this was 2013. So the titles have been vacant for nearly 3,000 days. Yeah. So, they just got bored with the concept and turned it into a joke. And then, I mean, that team held the title for almost 500 days, but like you're saying,
right?
They forgotten about.
Yeah, they didn't even bring him out. It was just a prop for a little while. So,
yeah.
I think Eric Young was not even in the company at the point, and he was still the champion at some point. So, it was not good. So, skip that one if you can. Then we had Ace Austin, who came out and he called his shot and tried to insert himself into the X Division 3-way. I think Scott D'Amore came out and said, "No, you can't do that. But I have a man who you can face. You might say he's always ready." And then Matt Cardona came out, and this fucking goddamn dork ass Matt Striker goes, "Oh, I'm marking out, bro! Holy shit!"
No.
Like, the Booker T thing that he likes to poke fun at. Yeah. Matt Cardona, he went, "Whoa, what's Matt Cardona doing here? I'm marking out, bro." And this is the exact thing that you should not do if you're Impact. The cardinal sin of Impact Wrestling for all these years is bringing geek WWE guys and then treat them like they're the biggest fucking deal in the universe.
Yeah.
Just have Matt Cardona come out and go, "Oh, wow, Matt Cardona, he, former da-da-da-da, former da-da-da, he's an Impact ring. Okay, let's go. Now he's a guy of our roster." When you go, "Oh my God, what? Matt Cardona?" Like, it makes you look, but it's fucking Zack Ryder. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Fresh off of not getting signed by AEW.
Well, yeah.
Or, not being renewed on his short-term deal, I guess I should say. So.
5-match deal. Yeah. But I mean, I'll say the same thing now I said then. I think he's a smart guy to have on your roster because of his social media following, because of the following that his podcast has.
Sure. Oh, yeah.
Because, now every week he's going to tell his millions of followers on social media, and he's going to talk about Impact on his podcast. And you get all that exposure to all of those people, and hopefully you pick a few up as fans. I thought that was the upside for AEW using him short term, and I think that's the upside for Impact using them.
Oh, if I'm Impact, I 100% get him. I don't treat him like he's the fucking second.
No, I agree.
Yeah. That's the only difference. But he basically beat up Ace Austin for a few minutes. Ace Austin took a powder, I believe, and then that was the match. So I think it was a no contest, or maybe Cardona beat him or something. I forget what it was, but.
And that feud must continue on Impact this week. Yeah. So that's, at least they're not like pushing him right to the top or anything like that. They're bringing him in as a mid-card guy. And then I guess we see what happens. I guess it was a matter of time with Brian Myers already being there. It just made too much sense.
And again, I have no problem. I mean, that's a good spot for Matt Cardona. That's a good signing by Impact. So the key is obviously, like you said, not give him a world title run and maybe don't treat him like he's this gigantic star. That's. But other than Matt Striker being a dork ass about it, otherwise they haven't treated him like a star so far. So that's good.
Well, let's do Matt Striker and D'Lo Brown then.
Overall, I liked them. I thought D'Lo was really good. Matt, the problem with Matt Striker is I want to like him. Like, I'll like him for an hour, and then he'll say, "I'm marking out, bro," when Matt Cardona comes out, and I'm just like, fuck this guy. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. I thought his bad habits for the most part were reined in, and I thought he was doing a really good job for the most part.
He did also at one point, I think before the main event, say, "This is the most important day in the history of this business."
Yeah, he can't that's credibility killing.
Right.
He can't.
He goes, oh my God, no, I remember the time when, because like for an hour he was fine. After the "I'm marking out, bro," I was like, all right. And then I was fine. And then he said, "You will tell your grandchildren you were there when Kenny Omega appeared in an Impact Wrestling ring." And I said, God help me if I tell my grandchildren. Yeah. "Oh, come here. Let me tell you about the time when I saw Kenny Omega in Skyway Studios." Like, if I remember that when I'm 70, I should probably just put a fucking bullet through my forehead. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
you God.
There is such a thing as overselling something.
Yes.
And then it kills your credibility. So, yeah,
I forgot about that one. We are all experiencing a moment. You will tell your grandchildren, your grandchildren's children will tell each other, you were here when Kenny Omega appeared in an Impact Wrestling ring. It's like,
yeah, calm down, buddy.
like,
no, but I mean, people were acting like Matt Striker was Triple Mania level bad, but he wasn't.
No, he definitely was not. No.
Yeah, I didn't have much of a problem with him. He did have a few moments like that where it's like you're rolling your eyes and his worst habits are coming out. But for the most part, he was fine. He was probably a little better than Josh Matthews. So it's a slight improvement there. D'Lo Brown, I think, he came across to me like a guy who's new at this job. He wasn't bad. I don't think he was particularly good, but I thought he was fine. He was perfect. He was a replacement level analyst in my eyes. And I think that this crew has potential to be okay. They're already okay. They could be pretty good. So, I think the commentating is upgraded a bit. I think they needed some fresh voice.
They did. Yeah, Josh is bad. And Josh has all the terrible WWE habits as well that really hurt. And the stuff with Madison, like, I enjoyed, but you can only do that for so long.
Yeah. Yeah, and since she was going, I think just pressing the reset on the whole booth is the way to go. Josh Matthews finessing his way into the producer job, the way that Michael Cole is the producer over on the other with WWE. And now Josh Matthews has that job with Impact because he's been there forever and he's been a good soldier. So I guess he got a promotion of sorts. So whatever, good for him. But I do think the booth needed a refresh, and I thought these guys were fine. So I can jump in with you now. We had the X Division 3-way.
Yeah.
Manic.
So that was Manic, Chris Bay, Rohit Raju.
Yep. I thought this was the second best match of the matches I saw. I really liked it. Borderline Notebook. I thought TJ Perkins, who has been okay.
Who?
I see him in a million different places. I see him in MLW. I see him on New Japan Strong. I see him in Impact. And he's a really solid worker, but I thought this was his best performance in a long time. He was great. This was one of those nights where he's just on. And I thought that he was really great here. And I thought the other two guys were really good too. And Matt Striker, I don't know if you saw this, but earlier in the week, he had complained. TJ Perkins had complained on Twitter that the Impact announce team, talking about Matthews, didn't understand their own storyline because they were acting like you're not supposed to know it's TJP. When the story is that you are supposed to know that it's TJP. So Matt Striker goes out of his way. He must have said that this was TJP under the mask. No exaggeration, a dozen times in the first half of this match, to the point that D'Lo had to step in and say something. Like, do you think that was like him kissing up to TJP, or do you think he was mocking TJP for making a big deal out of it?
I don't know because, like you said, he said it like 15 times, and then D'Lo's like, well, now come on, Matt, we're not sure. We don't know exactly. And Matt's like, no, we do. Look at the tattoos. Look at it. It's clearly TJP. And he's like, well, I mean, we don't know. We haven't seen him without the mask off. And then what's funny is later in the match, the mask goes off, and Matt Striker goes, see, that's TJP. And D'Lo goes, I admit it does look a lot like TJP. So it's like,
he had the face paint.
Yeah.
He did like the Kishin Liger spot.
Yeah. And D'Lo still was not convinced that was definitely TJP because he had to work against it a little bit because, Matt Striker was just like, well, that's TJP. We know that's TJP. That's obviously, I don't know. I don't know if he said, all right, well, screw you. I'm going to make, like, I don't know. I don't know what type of guy Matt Striker is. I don't know if he's the type of guy that would kind of do you a solid as a wrestler, or if he would kind of like tongue-in-cheek bury you.
It was so over the top that he was either like ribbing Matthews or ribbing TJP.
Right. He was ribbing somebody, and it's just a matter of who.
It had to be one or the other. You know what I mean? It had to be Matthews, you suck, you didn't understand the story, or it had to be TJP, you're a nerd, why were you complaining about this? So I'm going to go over the top with it because it was just way too much. But I thought the match was really good, and TJP retains. What did you think of the match?
I liked it a lot, and I think the thing that I really did enjoy it about it the most is that the pace was really good, and something that I always, anytime there's a triple threat match or a 3-way match or whatever the hell, doesn't matter what company it is, if it's WWE or whatever, it's the tropes of one guy goes out and then 2 guys wrestle, and then, the guy has a pin and the other guy comes and breaks it up. And that same sort of stuff you get all the time, or, one guy dives on 2 people. It's just the same stuff that we've seen 1,000 times now in these 3-way matches. It really did not do that a lot in this match. There was a few moments where like one guy was on the outside selling or whatever, but for the most part, these 3 guys like wrestled in the ring together against one another. And like, I used to love 3-way dances. I used to love those matches, like in early ECW style when they first started doing them, or even some other companies would do them. I know WCW did a few here and there. Like, the early 3-way matches were just like 3 guys wrestling with each other and like trying to figure out how to maneuver around each other's bodies. And that was really cool. And then somewhere along the line, we all kind of fell into the trope of, one guy has to get, drop kicked out of the ring and then sell for 10 minutes while the 2 guys go in the ring. And they did not do that in this match. They kept all 3 guys in the ring for most of the match. And instead it was the dynamic of trying to get a pinfall before the other guy could save it, but not the guy saving it out of nowhere. Like the guy was standing right there and you had to try to kind of get a pinfall before he could get up and break it up. So I enjoyed that aspect of it. And it made it a really, really cool pace, which a lot of times these 3-way dances, triple threat matches don't have a very good pace because they fall too easily into those tropes, and I just kind of get bored by them.
Yeah. TJP was on fire here. I thought he was
great.
Good.
Yeah, I thought all 3 guys were fantastic. Rohit Raju, most improved guy, I would say, this year. I mean, we're one of the most improved guys. I mean, he's a guy who was just a dude, a guy who was like, good character, good, but he's a great worker now. He's gotten it. He's figured it out. Impact's a great spot for him, too.
Yeah.
Deonna Purrazzo, Taya Valkyrie, Impact Knockouts Championship. I thought this was... Taya's terrible. Taya's really bad.
I told you she's not good.
She can go wherever the hell she wants to go. I don't really care. So
yeah, so she finished up. That's legit. They wrote her off on the TV.
She's the one that killed Johnny Bravo. Oh my god.
She shot Johnny.
He's not dead. He's alive. Sorry.
Yes. So she's on her way somewhere. I don't know.
Bye. Go away.
I just don't. I don't know. The match was It was in slow motion.
Very slow, very sloppy. Nothing felt like well done. Everything felt like it was labored and just kind of, even like she was trying to do like the Fujiwara armbar. Deonna was trying to do a Fujiwara armbar. It took like 10 seconds to like get it. It just, it was, I don't know.
It was better than the next thing.
Oh, God. Oh, God. The Karate Man versus Ethan Page. What do you say about this? This was the most embarrassing pile of crap I've seen. If you are going to do cinematic matches, if you're going to do this sort of shit, at least try to make them look okay. If they're going to look like shit and they're going to be dorky, at least try to make them funny. This looked like shit and was not... I didn't... Joe, not even the thought of cracking a smile at any point during this. It wasn't even meant to be funny, was it?
Well,
Where were the jokes? Like, I don't even know what the jokes were.
Here's the problem, Rich. You obviously didn't see the full edit.
Oh, right.
You obviously didn't see
I missed the part that was awesome with all the funny comedy. Yeah.
I mean...
I just saw the part where he screamed and kicked and then he ripped his heart out. And I was supposed to say, okay. I'd love to see what got left on the cutting room floor, because that had to be just the most incredible shit in the world.
Well, he immediately tweeted that he hated it and it was a pile of shit.
Correct.
And then he deleted the tweet. And at first I thought he was just being like an asshole because it got such a negative reaction. So he was just like being sarcastic and agreeing. But as it turns out, he was legitimately angry because he claims it was edited down from his final cut. This is what he posted in Matt Cardona's like toy blog, Facebook page or whatever. Yeah. And I'm sorry, I don't know what was cut from this, but there's nothing you could insert into this that was going to make
right. I mean, like, that's like our joke about the part, our podcast didn't record and it was the greatest shit ever. It was an incredible segment. Like,
yeah, that's
what he's telling us here. But like, what? Because I read the post and like, he's like, it was like more funny and it looked better and all this. But like, okay, what was different about this than the other Karate Man shit? Like, what got left? What the tone of the thing is exactly the tone that you've had with this Karate Man thing the entire time.
Nothing was going to make this funny.
No.
It's a bad idea. Now, look, I get his perspective. If you put work into something, you don't like someone else editing it, right? That's bothersome because he thinks it's good. He put his work into it.
Okay, I don't want to call him, but like it looks exactly like the one he edited.
You saw the full edit?
No, I saw that fucking other Karate Man stuff that he's put on.
Yeah, but I think he's saying that stuff was cut out of it.
Okay.
I think that's what he's saying. That it was edited down, not in terms of the production values, but like you're saying, stuff got left on the cutting room floor, so to speak, which would have held it all together, told a better story. But I'm saying there's nothing you could insert into this that would have made it good. It was embarrassing. And, you know, maybe he thought it was funny. It fit his sense of humor, but this did not get over with anyone. I mean, but I could see why you'd be annoyed if someone took your work and edited it down in a way that you didn't approve. That is annoying.
Right.
I mean, you know, it's like, so I understand that, but it was still shit. Shit is still shit. This is not a good idea. And I don't want to repeat all our talking points about him from last week. But look, I think he's probably going to end up in AEW. I do think he's a creative guy, but he definitely needs to be reined in, and some of his ideas just need to be filtered and controlled. And it's weird because in a lot of ways the AEW environment is conducive to being over the top and silly, but in a lot of ways you don't. Okay, there's All In with the penis druids, and then there's Dynamite, and there is a fine line between
right.
There's being the elite, and there's Dynamite, and there is a fine line between the two. And I think he's more of the former than the latter. You understand what I'm saying? And my concern is that a lot of his bad ideas are going to either get through if he's in AEW, and we're all going to be annoyed, or his ideas aren't going to get through, and he's going to sulk again and pull the move he always pulls. And you know, and we talked a lot about that last week. So I don't know if that's where he's heading, right? And he does need a visa. If that's where he's heading, man, that could either be the perfect spot for him or incredibly toxic for all sides.
Yeah, because the problem that could happen, and it seems to be a problem that he runs into a little bit, is either being told no or things get changed, and like you're gonna be a small fish in a big pond. You know, for a while you've been able to be one of the top guys on the indies, one of the top guys in Impact. You know, one of them pushed commodities in here and here and here. If you're joining AEW or you're joining NXT or you're joining whatever, you're going to hear no a lot. You know what I mean? Especially if you're a creative guy. And that sucks. Like it sucks. Like it like we've all dealt with that. I deal with it at my job constantly of, you know, hey, here's this idea that I have and I really like the idea and I get in, and then my boss just, no, I don't, no. And it's just like, oh, all right. Like, you know what I mean? Like it really, it stuns you a little bit when you're like, ah, fuck. Like I really thought I sold that pretty well, but you said no in like 10 seconds. That kind of sucks. And Paige is clearly a guy who does think creatively about stuff and does have big ideas and is creative, but he's going to hear no a lot. And how does he handle hearing no? How does he hear somebody laughing at him going, no, we're not going to do that. Are you kidding? Come on, man. No, we're not doing that. How's he going to handle that? It's
just such a red flag when every single exit is tumultuous.
Everyone, yeah.
And look, I get it's the wrestling business, right? But every exit is tumultuous.
Like that this one,
a gigantic red flag.
And this one's the biggest red flag to me for Impact. I get the gripes that he had with Evolve. I get the gripes that he had with Ring of Honor. I get the gripes that he's had with this or whatever. Having gripes about Impact for him, to me, it's like I can't buy that, dude. I really can't. I mean, you were pushed as a top commodity, you held the tag team titles almost your entire fucking run. You had great spots and great matches with Josh Alexander or whatever, and they let you do this geek shit on the way out. They let you do your little dumb gimmick and sell merch and all this sort of stuff on the way out. Yeah, maybe they edited 2 minutes off the video or whatever, but if I'm Impact, I don't owe you shit. I could tell you, I'd say, no, we're not doing any Karate Man bullshit. Get the hell out of here. Like, you know, you're leaving.
I think he claimed in the write-up that they asked him to do Karate Man and for this, and that he just does what he's told. And I just do what's scripted. I think that's how he worded it.
Okay.
But it's like, if you didn't want to do Karate Man and Impact, why didn't? It's your character.
You can say no too. No? Yeah, you can say no as well.
just don't shoot it then. You're on your way out. And I get it, okay, be a good soldier, do what's asked. And
but then you can't be a good soldier and then turn around and say this is bullshit.
Right. I think he's mad that they asked him to do it and then they edited it in a way that he didn't like. I think that's the gist that I got.
I mean, I get it, but I also, I mean, I don't know.
But you're also on the way out, and it's like, my problem is, it's always like this. Every place he leaves, it's tumultuous. There's a dispute. He had issues. And it's not even so much that there's always an issue on the exit with him. It's that he always voices the issue upon exit. There's a lot to be said for just keeping things quiet or keeping them behind the scenes and presenting a different public face. What damage does it do him to say, I enjoyed my time in Evolve or Impact or wherever, and now I'm moving on, and making that his public stance while complaining about all of these things privately?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's something to be said for that too, in terms of professionalism. You know, it's like, I get having issues with various wrestling promoters. They're wrestling promoters. Okay, it's a dirty business.
Yeah, the scummiest people on the earth. And I say that as somebody who knows wrestling promoters, and they'd probably tell you the same fucking thing, because they know it's a scummy business.
But blazing a trail of bodies behind every time is a gigantic red flag.
Yeah, especially when you're not low-key. When you're the talent of low-key, you can get away with it. And even he got ostracized and is no longer, booked by anybody, for God's sakes.
Yeah, he doesn't get booked.
And low-key's he's an all-time great, and people have decided he's not worth the trouble.
He's got one place left where he can work. And look, I'm just saying, it's just a red flag to me, and it makes me think that this guy is a pain in the ass to deal with.
It's no different than if you're hiring an employee and you call their last 4 employers and they say, yeah, nah, it didn't go very well at the end or whatever.
I'm going to tell you what, no, that's a good, no, you know what it's more? It's me if I sit down with someone to interview them and they trash their last 4.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, you're right.
Because then as someone who does this for a living, and I interview, salaried people who have careers, and that's a giant red flag when they trash all of their former employees.
Right. This place sucked, and that place sucked, and this sucked, and it's like, well, are you going to feel any differently with this job?
And that's a tip to anyone listening. When you job interview, do not trash your former employers. That's a huge negative, and that's something that'll prevent you from getting hired. And that's kind of how he comes across. He's just the guy that trashes all his former jobs, and it's
and there's a difference between saying, oh, everything was great, or saying there were some things that I wanted to do, and they had kind of wanted to go in a different direction, and I really, there were some things I really thought I could do, help them out a little bit more with, and they didn't, agree. There's ways to kind of say, hey, the reason I left is blank or whatever. Without, like you said, without saying, yeah, fuck that place. And what a piece of crap that place was. That place sucked. Yeah, my boss sucked. That sucked. The job sucked.
Yeah.
That is a red flag of, okay, well, you're going to come to this, or if you say it for, that job sucked. Oh, no, that one sucked too. Yeah, I didn't like anybody there. It's like, okay, well, why am I going to hire you to this job when I'm pretty sure you're going to say that this job sucks now too? So
giant red flags everywhere.
Yeah, for sure.
It's just, I enjoyed my time there, and it helped advance my career, and I'm looking for new opportunities.
Right.
Period. And that's a real world example, but even if he had legitimate gripes in all of these places, which is possible, keep them to yourself, man. It's just, I don't think he understands how he comes across, and he's just this kind of guy who plays it off like, well, I don't care. But he does. He's the gotten to guy that acts like he's not gotten to. And it's like, and that's why I think if AEW is the next stop, man, that can go one of two ways. It's going to be interesting to watch play out. But we'll have to see if that's ultimately where he ends up. I don't know.
Yeah, we're not sure where it's going to be.
Now, if I'm Impact, he would have went out laying on his back doing a job to Josh Alexander.
That's what I'm saying. Like I'm not going to really. If I'm him, I'm not getting super upset because they probably did the best thing for him to leave. Because that's exactly how he's leaving my company. Is him and Josh Alexander break up, and Josh Alexander beats him and pins him in the middle of the ring, and he moves on, and you move on type thing. So I don't know. Yeah,
And you can't have it both ways. He can't play the card of, oh, well, I didn't want to do a job. Well, he said in his statement that he just does what he's told and follows a script.
Right.
Well, if that's the case, then, I mean, I would have had him lose to Josh. And then, look, I have no idea if there was any kind of pitch in that direction or whether someone said no to that. I don't know. All I'm saying is if I'm booking this show, that's how he's going out. A 6-minute job to Josh Alexander where Josh Alexander looks dominant. I mean, that's just old school. That's how you do things.
Well, the new school is you have a cinematic match on your way out where your heart is ripped out. So there you go. God, 2020 wrestling, 2021 wrestling now. Barbed Wire Massacre, Eddie Edwards versus Sami Callihan. I like this. What do you think? I mean, it wasn't great. I'm not going to go back and rewatch it, but I thought I was entertained for, 10, 15 minutes.
I feel like at the time I was like, I think I tweeted, I think that was good, but who the hell knows? Right. Who the hell cares? I don't know. I guess it was a good plunder match. I don't know. I guess matches like this, it's hard for me. Nah, I don't know. I recognize what they did was good, but I didn't really care. I'm just watching it zoned out. I don't know. I really don't have anything else to add. It's Eddie Edwards and Sami Callihan plundering it up. And it was fine. But a lot of people really loved it. And it sounds like you liked it more than I did. So, I don't know.
I did not get back in time, did I?
No. I thought I was knocked offline. A good 45 seconds of dead air.
Oh, God. Oh, dear God. Well.
Yeah. Yeah, you can always chop it out. Or you can leave this awkward exchange in there.
I like the awkward exchange, so there we go. I'm back. So
make people think that their phones stop.
That's true.
Yeah.
Like the long pauses. Yeah, we could have said that was part of the act because I'm sure just finished an incredible statement about Eddie Edwards and Sami Callihan.
No, so. I had nothing to say.
I kind of thought you did. I guess. Silent. Yeah, it was fine. Yeah, like you said, I like my tolerance for guys hitting each other with shit is pretty low right now. But other than these guys hit each other with shit in an entertaining way, so at least I enjoyed certain parts of it. But I'm really ready for Eddie Edwards to give this up. But we're like 3 years into this now. I don't think he's ever giving it up. I think he's found his new calling in life, so good for him, I guess. And then we had our main events, Kenny Omega and the Good Brothers versus Rich Swann, Chris Sabin, and Moose. Alex Shelley not able to be there. Do we still know why, or I guess we don't?
It wasn't the TV either because they did the private party versus Sabin and James Storm.
Right. So, I don't know. Okay.
So.
We don't know.
Moose took advantage, though. He was great.
Moose was fantastic in this match. He was really, really good. He came across like a big-time star, a big-time main eventer, so much so that, I know that the long play that a lot of people have is Omega versus Swann. I like Rich Swann, but I'm pushing Rich Swann out of there, and I'm doing Omega versus Moose. You know what I mean?
They teased Swann versus Moose on TV.
Okay. That, they must have seen it there. They have an idea as well. Good, smart for them, because Moose came across like a big-time star here, a real representative of Impact. And Rich Swann came across not bad, but Moose just felt like a star. Rich Swann didn't feel like a star in this match.
I know Swann's the champion, but I don't know that he's the big match for Omega. You know what I mean?
Right.
Impact doesn't have a signature guy. They don't have their AJ Styles or Kurt Angle or even a Christian Cage or whoever over the years, Samoa Joe. They don't have a signature guy now, which is the obvious match for Omega. So they kind of have to make one. And Rich Swann, I like Rich Swann. I really do. He's not it.
Mm-mm.
Even though he's their world champion, he's not that guy. And I think he could have a great match with Kenny Omega. But I just don't think it's a big money match at all. So maybe they are going to pivot to Moose and have Moose beat Swann and have both titles, the fake one and the real one, and then do Moose versus Omega. Maybe that will be the direction. But this was a really great match. I thought this was definitely a notebook match, and it delivered. and Omega pinned Swan clean in the middle.
Would you have done that, or would you have pinned Saban?
Well, again, I don't think Swan, even though he's the champion, is a big money match. I
100% agree, and that's why when that finish happened, I went, "Ooh, okay, hold on a minute." Like Moose felt like the bigger star here, even though he was the replacement, which is weird, in a very odd way. And then when it was done, it was like, Moose felt like the big star, and then Swan took the pinfall, and I'm like, well, what the fuck? Like, maybe they are pivoting to Moose. Like,
here's what I want to ask you: if you do Omega versus Swan, do you do it on TV? Because that'll pop a big number.
Yes.
And you see where I'm going with that?
Mm-hmm.
Instead of doing that on the pay-per-view, because I don't think it's a big – look, any Omega pay-per-view match theoretically should be big, and we'll see what kind of numbers this did. But Omega challenging anyone for the title should be big, but I think you can have a bigger Omega one-on-one title match with someone else. So maybe you can do Swan on TV instead of waiting for the next pay-per-view and pop your TV with Omega versus Swan. So it seems like you agree.
Yeah, I totally. And I don't know if they lucked into this, if this is a long-term play with Moose. I don't know what it was, but yeah, they got something here. I mean, it's pretty incredible too with Moose, because over the course of last year, like, this time last year, I really had nothing with Moose. I mean, I was kind of down on him. I kind of thought he was nothing. He was going nowhere. It really felt like he was kind of stalling out as a wrestler. And then he gets this fake title, this TNA title, and he's fucking made himself a star, man. He is back, and he felt so much like the biggest star in this match. Obviously with Omega as well, but it felt like when it was done, like, you want to see Moose versus Omega. You that is your guy, that is your representative, that is your star. And I never would have thought I'd feel that way even a year ago with Moose, but he's done a damn good job on Impact. He really has, and you've seen it in the way he conducts himself, the aura that he has around him, and he comes across as a star. He feels like a star, and he's starting to wrestle a bit like a star as well. So yeah, they kind of lucked into this. I think this actually made, like, it's like Alex Shelley, obviously. I would rather see, from an in-ring standpoint, I'd rather see Alex Shelley in there. But I think this match was great with Moose involved in it. I think it had more gravity and it had more aura around it with Moose in there. And it would not have had the same with Alex Shelley. So
no, it worked out better because it seems like it elevated Moose.
Yeah, exactly. So good on them. They either lucked into this. This was the long-term play. I don't know what the hell, but I liked it. I thought it was great. And they made the most of whatever this situation is with Alex Shelley to...
We talk about it all the time. It's a wrestler taking advantage of an opportunity. In the case of Moose, grabbing it by the throat, and okay, I wasn't supposed to be in this spot, we assume, but now I'm in it. And he was the best person in the match. He was incredible in the match.
And there was a cool story involved with it as well, because Rich Swan's like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, Moose, I'm not going to wrestle with Moose. And Moose backstage being like, look, I played football with guys I hated. We go out there, bell rings, I'm on your team. That's all you got to worry about. And I'm like, yeah, let's go. I like it. Like, I could hate you, but we're on the same team right now, man. So I'm going to try to get that W. And I'm like, let's go. I'm in. Like,
but the more having to talk him into doing it in the first place, and then on this week, Moose now saying, well, look, we're not on the same team anymore. And now they're kind of building towards
right.
Moose.
Yeah, it's cool. It's good stuff.
So I mean, it's to me, there's more interesting possibilities with Moose in the mix than if he wasn't in the mix. But I'm very curious to see what kind of numbers the pay-per-view does. I assume there'll be an uptick in buys. The question is how much. But as far as Kenny Omega's impact in Impact, I didn't mean to do that. WrestleNomics had great numbers on their show this past week. So the 5 weeks prior to Omega's debut, they averaged 141,000 viewers, 43,000 in the demo. Okay. Omega debuts, they do the big number, 222,000 that week, 99,000 in the demo. We talked about it at length. Huge increases. So the 5 weeks since Kenny Omega has debuted, throwing out the big number for his debut, they're up 3% in total viewers, 9% in the demo. Now that lines up to Kenny Omega's trends on Dynamite, where he doesn't really do well with overall viewers, but always does particularly well in the 18 to 49 demo. So that totally lines up with his Dynamite quarter hours. But here's the thing. You have to throw out the 2 recap weeks that were in those 5 weeks, because there were 2 weeks in there where Impact was recap shows at the end of the year. If you throw those out, they're up 15% in total viewers and 37% in the 18 to 49 demo.
Wow. Yeah.
So it's very obvious that Kenny Omega has been a big draw for Impact when you look at those numbers. Because they're up a little bit even when you count the recap shows that nobody watched. But they're up big, real big in the 18 to 49 if you throw those out. And this week's show, we don't have the numbers yet because of Martin Luther King Day. But the Twitch stream, if that's any indication, again, the AEW relationship's helping them a ton because they went from about 6,000 viewers on Twitch to 9,200 viewers when Matt Hardy and Private Party came out. I mean, that's a 50% increase for Hardy and Private Party making their appearance. And they peaked at about 4,000 viewers higher than they did the week before on Twitch. You would think that the television would then correspond with that. There's no reason to think it wouldn't. So Kenny Omega and the AEW relationship clearly helping Impact here. So you would think that it also helped the pay-per-view. I mean, I don't understand why that wouldn't correlate to some degree.
Yeah,
right?
It's the problem though is like, and you know this, and anybody who's studied Impact business or TNA business throughout the years is even during their peak years they fucking never sold pay-per-views for some reason. Like these fans,
I agree, but in this case,
it should be. Yeah, I would really hope so. I would really hope that this is because it would be at least a little bit of a proof of concept here for it, and it does trend well. That the automatic increases with Kenny Omega being involved in Impact should hopefully have made a few extra 100 or whatever, that maybe even 1,000 people decide to buy this pay-per-view, and that would be really cool to see. So,
and who does Omega do well with on Dynamite? 18 to 49, and in particular, males 18 to 49.
Yeah, well, I can tell you for sure, just from like our own standpoint of our own business, is people bought the pay-per-view on Fight for sure. Much more than they bought any previous Impact pay-per-view. So
there's another small indicator.
Yeah, I don't know if that's just our little microcosm of our little world or whatever, but it sold a few, and we.
Yeah, but our little world is where Impact is getting these increases.
Right, exactly. That's what I mean. So if if we can add, a couple dozen, people or a handful of people, then you have to maybe hope that extrapolates even more. But yeah, we put the same links up for every single Impact pay-per-view, and they sell 1. Or 0. This one sold more than that. So, you know what I mean? Like a significant more than that. So, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see.
Here's 3 more numbers from WrestleNomics, and these are the big ones. As we know, Kenny is a mover in 18 to 49, particular males 18 to 49. Impact is actually down since he debuted with women. They're down slightly with women.
Interesting.
But males 18 to 49, they're up 54%. Males 12 to 34, they're up 25%. And males 35 to 49, they're up 68% since Kenny Omega debuted. And remember, this is throwing out the show on December 8th, which was the Omega debut. So all of these numbers would be significantly higher if we count his debut. But Brandon threw that out because he wanted to see, okay, we all saw Kenny show up. Now what did it do for us? You know what I mean? So he threw that number out. These are all numbers post-debut. They would be significantly higher if you threw in the 222,000 that he drew on 12/8. So it's just funny because you look around the internet and Twitter and stuff, and you see people saying that Kenny Omega hasn't proven to be a draw. And it's like, what number?
The number is I don't like him is the number metric that they're using. So yes.
And it's like, you know what they're looking at? They're looking at total viewers on Dynamite where his quarter hour loses 9,000 viewers. But they're ignoring that it gained 22,000 in the demo or was the second highest quarter hour of the whole show or, whatever the case may be. Because he has this weird trend where he turns away everyone except men 18 to 49, which happened to also be the most important. And he draws them so well that it carries the entire 18 to 49 demo. So it is weird in that way with him, where he seems to be a turnoff for anyone over 50, which makes sense when you think about it. And he seems to be a turnoff for anyone under 18, but in that demo, and in particular with men, the guy's a huge draw. And, that's what television advertisers and whatnot are looking for. So that's why it's so advantageous for Impact to have him on the show. And here's the other thing. I saw a lot of Impact fans saying, I can't believe Rich Swann got pinned by Kenny Omega. That's our champion. This is an outsider. You have to stop looking at Kenny Omega is on your show every week.
Yeah, right, yeah.
he's part of the show now.
If that was it and he rolled out of the ring and never returned to Impact ever again, I would say, yeah, that's a little weird. But then he was boom, he was right back there. So yeah, I'm.
Dude, he's a kayfabe outsider. He's on the show every week. Kenny Omega's on Impact now. He's part of your
wild.
world.
Isn't that wild?
It is wild.
He's like a regular on Impact.
Now he might be gone for a couple weeks because the beginning of this week's show, Callis was like, we're getting out of here. We got bigger and better things to do. But it's like he's obviously a character in the Impact universe now.
And they can still do videos and stuff. Yeah, he's not, like I said, he didn't roll out of that ring and they go, well, we'll never see Kenny again. It wasn't like, there was no finality to beating Rich Swann. It was just the beginning of a story.
He's been on the show every week for a month and a half. He's on your show. So it's like, he's part of the team now. Like, it's a kayfabe outsider. So it's like, he's the biggest star in Impact. Why shouldn't he, especially if eventually he's going to win that title and do this whole belt collector thing. Pinning the champion is a good setup for that. And again, I like Rich Swann, but no offense, it's Rich Swann. It's really not that big a deal. And I know that comes across, but I mean, Rich Swann happens to hold that title, but he's still Rich Swann. So I don't think he's a difference maker or anything like that. So if you can have Omega beat the champion and that means something for the Omega story, you absolutely do it.
So that was hard to kill. We got about 10 minutes here, so let's quickly cover up these last two Japan topics. And I think we got it to everything else here. Let's start with Dragongate. Not a ton to get into, but they had January 12th, January 13th. They had two Korakuen Hall shows that were available on the Dragongate service, also with English commentary. I watched most of the shows. I think I kind of had to pick and choose from the second show. I saw all the first show. The big news out of that show is open the Twin Gate match in the main event. RED, the BB Hulk and Kai team, defeated Jason Lee and Kota Minoura again to retain their titles in a really, really good match. I enjoyed that one a lot. The fun story with Keisuke Okuda and Punch Tominaga, where he just beats the hell out of him. I beat him in 3 minutes on the January 12th show. And then he would go then the next night on January 13th and beat him in 11 seconds. So that was kind of the ongoing story there. January 13th, you had Bokitomo Dragon versus Ultimo Dragon, or teaming with Ultimo Dragon as well. So you got the Big Art Shimizu version of Ultimo Dragon teaming with the actual Ultimo Dragon. So I guess that was, whatever it was, it was interesting to say the least. And then the main event, which I thought was pretty good, was Open the Triangle Gate Natural Vibes, which are now back, which is going to be our topic here for a bit. Natural Vibes defeat the RED team to win the Triangle Gate Championship. So that's Genki Horiguchi, KZ, and Susumu are now your Triangle Gate champions. But some unit shakeups here because RED gets they break up after this. Yoshida, the former Cyber Kong, is kicked out of RED after the Triangle Gate match, and now he's become like a would you say a protege of Mochizuki is kind of his new character that he's doing. So some unit shakeups there. Obviously with the 1220, the Dragon Gate generation is done. The Toryumon generation is done. And now Natural Vibes has come back as well, which what are your thoughts on the return of Natural Vibes? Because I'm kind of...
I don't like Natural Vibes.
I was kind of done with them and I was glad they went away. And now I'm kind of upset that they're back again. Like, not that I didn't dislike them as much as you did. I just don't like them all that much. And I'm just kind of like, I mean, I like to move forward with my units. I like new units. I like shakeups. I don't like just going, okay, let's just go back to this. Like, I don't know. That's kind of lazy to me.
Well, I'm skeptical. I think it's a setup for a KZ turn. I mean, I know that's not exactly a unique opinion, and kind of everybody sees that coming. So we'll see. Maybe we're all wrong. But I feel like this is just a temporary thing, and KZ is going to turn on these guys. But they're Triangle Gate champions now. So... we'll see. But my takeaways from these shows were the atmosphere was dire. I mean, that's not Dragon Gate's fault.
No, dude, state of emergency Japanese wrestling is going to be real bad. So strap in, folks. I mean, New Japan is getting like 300 people to Korakuen Hall, and it sounds like a fucking funeral home. It's going to be rough.
There's 300 people at these shows. The atmosphere was awful. And it was hard for me to get into them. At one point, I had to turn the commentary off because it was easier for me to get into the shows with no noise at all than to hear the awful atmosphere. Does that make any sense?
No, absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
So the Okuda Punch Tominaga stuff is a shit ton of fun. No one does that better than Dragon Gate does. The Twin Gate match was okay. The thing is, I see Hulk as being so bad now that all of his matches over-deliver because he's not as bad as I think he is.
Right, I think he's the drizzling shits, and he's like still fine. I'm the same way. I'm like, oh, here we go, BB Hulk and Kai, and then when it's over, and I'm like, God, that was damn good. And it's like, they're not that good. I just, you're absolutely right. It's exactly what I have.
Yeah, and then I thought the post-match of the Triangle Gate stuff with Takashi Yoshida was awesome. So he says he's mad at SB Kento, says he never liked him, says they're going to throw him out of Red. SB Kento's looking all concerned. And then when Yoshida says, everybody get him, they attack Yoshida instead. Just a classic Dragon Gate angle. And then SB Kento has this shit-eating grin on his face. And then they leave him there for dead. And he gets the mic. And he's calling out for his senpai. He's yelling, Senpai! Senpai! And if you listen to Jay on commentary, he's like, what? He's asking for... His senpai was Masaki Mochizuki. What is happening here? Why is he calling from... So he's calling out, and Mochizuki comes out with that look on his face, like, what the fuck is this guy?
Like he had to unlight his cigarette to come out. Yeah. He's like,
well, yeah, he did, because he gets in the ring, and then Yoshida goes, did you see what just went down? And Mochizuki goes, no, I don't watch your matches.
What an unbelievable, I mean, we should all aspire to be Mochizuki. You know what I mean? Like that guy's just, God damn.
Anyone I've ever spoken to that is bilingual tells me that his promos are just incredible.
Yeah, I'm sure
he has
they are.
Dry wit and just funny as hell. And it just came across here as Jai is translating the promos in real time. And he's like, no, I don't watch your fucking matches. I don't know what happened. So Yoshida explains, and he's like, I need to start back at the bottom. You're my senpai. And Mochizuki's like, oh, hold on now. The last time we tried this, you attacked me.
Right. Yeah, I'm not stupid.
So I don't know. I don't know if I'm into this, and plus he's like treating him like a joke anyway, because he's always been slotted way lower than him, and it's fucking CyberCon, So, and he just has this like shit-eating grin on his face the whole time that Yoshida's making this pitch. And the fans were into this. They were laughing their asses off at all of this. And then eventually Yoshida, I guess, convinces him. So I guess, and then Mochizuki at one point too, he's like, "You're like a 17-year veteron. Like, what
right, what do you need me for?"
Yeah, like the whole thing really was really funny, and so that's gonna be Yoshida's story moving forward, I guess, is this weird buddy cop relationship with Mochizuki. So that kind of saved the shows for me, because the wrestling was fine. It's just the atmosphere. It was like, it's just so pathetic and hard to watch. But the booking was good. It's a well-booked promotion right now, and there's good directions. It's just, it's out of their control, though. What are you going to do?
And then the 0-1. We only got a few minutes here, but I think we can get through this one pretty quickly here. We'll go a little over. But Happy New Year 2021. You caught up on it this week, and I was like, well, fuck it. I guess I'll catch on with this week. I watched the entire show, which I do not recommend anybody to, because it was pretty bad. I don't want to take too long to kind of break down the undercard matches. They're not really worth the time. The opener, it was like a Young Lion opener. Or young boy opener. Really good. Really, really good stuff. Accidental blood in the Young Lion opener, so you'll enjoy that. And then there was a match, Watanabe Ito versus Kitamura and Baba in the second match. That was actually pretty damn good. Some good action. A little sloppy at times, but some decent action, and looks like there's actually some talent there on the undercard. And the rest was pretty shitty. So a bunch of Aja Kong, who can't even move or do anything. You got El Lindemann bouncing off of her, taking bumps and stuff. It was kind of embarrassing. Yeah, so
that was the semi. Strong Hearts against Aja Kong, Shinjiro Otani, and Yumehito Imanari. And that was really just to give Strong Hearts a win. And I think T-Hawk got COVID since then.
Yes, he's out. Yeah, or no, I know Lindemann for sure. I did not know. Actually, I didn't know about T-Hawk. Is that true?
I could be wrong with who has it, but I think they're both quarantining. I think. But definitely one of them for sure. But yeah, that was just to set up, because then Shima sat in on commentary for the main event.
Right, because he was going to challenge the winner, which he did. So,
which kind of tipped it off, because they're running either Sumo or Budokan. I can't remember. They're running one of those buildings, and the point is, you're not going to put Tamura Hayato,
yeah,
even though you're selling limited tickets, even though you're 0-1. the big match is Shima versus Masato Tanaka. So Masato
right,
Tanaka,
there's still that prestige, which is, and I was going to actually bring that up to you as well, as we're seeing that potentially with in Noah, where maybe Keiji Muto wins that, and to me that's like not the. If I was booking it, I would take this opportunity to get a young guy over. I would take this opportunity to get a young star over, that sort of stuff. I would take this opportunity to have Go Shiozaki, put his plant his flag for the year or whatever. It's not my money though. I'm not the one running the show, and I get it. If they feel that they need to do that to sell X amount of tickets or the prestige of running in that building, I get it. I understand it. And it's not the way I would do it. But again, it's not my money. And it's not like Hayata is not like this like unbelievable can't miss prospect either, that they absolutely ruined his career by doing this.
He's not even their wrestler.
Exactly. He's a just tap out guy. So
he reminds me of Okada. Like
he's like a dollar store. Well, I mean, come on. He's trying to. the hair, the robe, the
gear. He even looks like him a little in the face.
He does. He doesn't wrestle quite like him, but
he's a nice little wrestler.
He's good. He's a little rough around the edges. He's the problem with him is I actually like him. Like he's a cool little prospect, and I definitely want to keep my eye on him because he's only 25, and you can see already in a year how much he's progressed. But he needs like the impact is not quite there. The striking's not quite there. He doesn't he still looks like he's kind of working a little soft. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like he's kind of thinking through it a little bit, and especially in Japan, especially when you're against fucking Masato Tanaka, it's like, nah, dude, you can reel it in there. You can, give it a little work there. But I thought I liked his match with Hartley Jackson a little bit more in this one. But I still thought this was tremendous, and it was mostly tremendous because Masato Tanaka is just it's just unbelievable. What do you say about Masato Tanaka anymore?
No, he's ageless.
He's going through fucking he sets up the table spot, and I'm like, oh, something's gonna happen here. No, he just go. He just splashed through a table. He's 47 years old.
Breaking.
I'm thinking something's gonna happen. Something, no, he goes through the table.
When the decline does come, it comes fast though. You look at Daisuke Sekimoto, you look at Yuji Okabayashi last year, Suwama, at least to me, there's still Suwama believers out there, but I think he's clearly lost a step. So when it happens, it just kind of fucking happens. You know what I mean?
I know.
Doesn't seem to be gradual.
It's not January 2021, I'll tell you that, because he still rocks.
No, I mean, this wasn't a great match, but it was a really good match. And then obviously Shima came in and they did the dueling promos or whatever. And look, I get it. They're going to run that big building. They're 0-1. They want to sell every possible ticket they can. We're in a pandemic. It's going to be hard enough with the limited seats. And that's the biggest possible match they could have put together. So I get it. I don't have a problem with it. And I don't know and I don't know what their deal is with Hayato. Maybe it was time to go back. You know what I mean? Like,
I don't know. Hopefully not, because this is a good spot for him. If so, I mean, I like him a lot. I want him to be in a place where I think he's going to improve, and we can see him a little bit. So I mean, I guess 0-1's not really that place either. So because there are 2 shows a year that make tapes. So
yeah, but I mean, Just Tap Out is basically just a school.
Right.
It's not really.
They'll run some produce shows here and there, but yeah, for the most part, it's nothing.
Yeah, I mean, he's Just Tap Out. He's not. I always get them and 2AW mixed up.
No, he's JTO for sure with
the roster. Yeah, it's basically just a school. There's no growth possible there. It's just a place where you don't want to get stuck there your whole career, because you're going. At least 0-1 is it's a bottom rung of promotion for sure. But I consider it a step up from Just Tap Out.
God, yes. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But, we don't know what the deal was with that. So you do Shima and Tanaka in your main event. It's kind of a compelling match. It's interesting. It's a match that you never think you might want to see.
I will say this. I'm on his Twitter page right now. He is promoting the a tournament coming up in 0-1. That's going to be at the end of the month. So
Hayato?
Yes. So at least he's here for a bit.
Didn't 0-1 shut down for the I thought they shut down.
This was the 21st. So he just tweeted this out a few minutes ago, actually. So
all right, I had bad information. I thought they were shutting down for the emergency.
Yeah, well, apparently, I'm not sure, because this says 124 and 131. They might be doing no fans. I don't know for sure, but there's.
I think they may have just stopped running shows for a couple weeks. I heard something about them shutting down.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know either. But apparently they're running some tournament coming up, so maybe that's their return. Let me see if they've run any shows since the. I
think they ran one. I believe they ran one show since then.
So that's probably it. They probably shut down for a couple weeks. Yeah, they ran on the 11th. Did that show happen? Yeah, it did. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, sometimes they take those big gaps. It's hard to tell. But yeah, point here is I get why they did it, and I get why they think Tanaka-Shima is their best shot, because it is. I still don't think it's going to draw. I mean, all things considered, with COVID and everything else, and the fact it's still 0-1, you think they get 1,000 fans? I think it's I mean...
I don't know. So what are the rules for running like big arenas like that? Like, is there there's a percent capacity, right?
I think
the state of emergency. I'm kind of lost on the state of emergency thing. I usually rely on
Sumo Hall, not Budokan, by the way. I made sure. I don't know. The rules keep changing, and I don't really keep up with it.
Yeah, so I'm the same. So yeah, hopefully, I don't know. I mean, if you're asking me hypothetically, in a perfect world, if they can sell as many tickets as they can sell, 1,000. I don't know, for 0-1.
It is March. A lot can change.
Yeah, a lot can change, and they can really stack that up with people as well. And I think that was obviously the direction with this show. Putting Aja Kong on there, putting some other outside stars and stuff. I guess I would say yeah, because you could probably pick enough guys off the scrap heap and just pick like one time people to try to sell some tickets. I guess 1,000 for 0-1 though. Ugh.
See, I have no feel. This is why I haven't really talked attendance at all during COVID.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Or do 1,000 people want to go to a show? I don't know, dude. Yeah, who knows? Who fucking knows?
It's so dumb because I don't have any feel for it at all. With all the other factors.
They claimed 543 for this New Year's show. So
that's Corkin, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
they could double that. I mean, I think.
Can they? I mean, it is.
I don't know. It depends who they book.
I'm just worried about the factor of people not wanting to go.
Right, and that's going to be.
There's 300 people going to Dragongate shows.
Right.
It's so.
It's a little scary. Yeah. That's that stuff that got me a little scared there. I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't be trying to run a big haul if I was 0-1, but hey.
Well, they announced it last year, so
right.
It's not like they announced it before COVID. That they announced. I think they announced last February or March that they'd be running Sumo Hall.
Oh, I do remember that. Yeah, I remember that. We were laughing about that and how ambitious that was, and now even more so then.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we were laughing about the idea of them in Sumo Hall, and now it's even wilder. But at the same time, it kind of hides the embarrassment because you could always just chalk
exactly.
it up.
Right. You could just say, "Oh, well, hey, we got 1,000 people. That's good," or we got 600 people. That's pretty good. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
I think you're right, though. I think they'll load it up with other guys.
Yeah, you're normal, random old dudes that are willing to come. Your produce guys. I don't know the relationship with Just Tap Out, but you might be able to grab some of those guys too. And
it's obviously good.
Yeah.
I don't know who there is going to move the needle, but I guess you could bring this kid back, and you get the rest of the strong hearts and
got a hologram of Shinya Hashimoto out there, maybe that might.
Hey, where was Sugi on this show? Nowhere.
You're goddamn right. Where was Sugi on the show? I know. That's why I watched the undercard. I thought I would get some Sugi, and I fucking didn't.
He didn't wrestle on the 11th either. Is his contract up or something?
I don't know.
He did do a lot of jobs last year.
Is he in that? Is he in the new Bodyguard promotion? I forget if he's actually popped up there yet.
I don't pay any attention to that. I have a new rule. These pop-up promotions in Japan, you don't get my time until you prove that you're real and you're gonna last and you're legit. I can't do it. Your gleets and this bullshit, I can't fucking do it.
Shima's new bullshit thing that he's got going. Yeah,
I just can't do it.
That's fair.
But Sugi and Raicho, I mean, they haven't. It doesn't look like they've worked 0-1 since they worked the Christmas show, and they won. They were in a 6-man tag. How'd they do in that tag tournament? They lost in the first round. See that to Strong Hearts. That's the thing. They did a lot of jobs down the stretch, and now they're not there in the beginning of the year. It makes me wonder if Sugi is no more, which, I mean, he's one of the highlights of all these 0-1 shows.
He really is, yeah.
So he works sporadically in December. He didn't even work every show. But they were doing like 2 and 3 match shows. It got real dire there. Fire Festival final. Yeah, they lost on that show as well. Maybe they were jobbing him on the way out. I don't know. Figure that would have popped up somewhere if he was a free agent, though. I don't know. What are we doing? It's like
Sugi. 3 hours and 10 minutes talking about Sugi. Anyway, that's it for us. So anyway, next week, Voice of Wrestling Match of the Year. We'll do the Patreon special show. That we usually do what, $5 tier for that one, I believe.
Yeah,
$5 tier for the top 10 Match of the Year reveal. That'll come probably on Thursday next week once we do that. Throughout the entire week, at voicesofwrestling.com, we'll roll out the list. We'll start obviously with the honorable mentions, people that finished outside of the top 100, and then go through the entire top 100, culminating again on Friday with the top 10. Or if you want to listen to it a little bit early, $5 to get that Thursday night our reveal of the top 10 match of the year, as well as the biggest reveal, Joe and I's top 10 matches of the year, which I am still finalizing. I don't know about you, but I am. I got a big old list of matches, and I'm not quite sure exactly what the ranking is going to be yet. So,
Sugi's contract is up.
Oh no!
So you go.
Well, thank you. I wasn't going to sleep right until I do that, so that's.
Well, now you know.
That's good to know. So thank you so much. So voicesofwrestling.com for all that Match of the Year stuff. FSM50 also at voicesofwrestling.com. Voicesofwrestling.com/Patreon. The ongoing Rumble Rewind series getting rave reviews from all across the land. Doing 1994, 1996, 2000, 2004, 2014, maybe some other ones as well. So that's a Rumble Rewind on voicesofwrestling.com/Patreon. Thursday tier reviews are up there right now. All the other good stuff at Voices Wrestling on Twitter, voicesofwrestling.com/Discord. That's it for us. We got to go. Take care.